msp-waves radio with your host Agrode, currently listed as Skanky J, currently number 11 on the number of witnesses that are out there. And this is a Minnow Town Hall, so let's go play a quick intro music created by Soundwaves Photon. I love this thing. Oh, come on, you're not going to play? All right, let me refresh this thing.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message. I love you.
And now, coming to you from the classiest radio station on the air, this is
Minnow Town Hall.
Boom. I love that thing. Thank you, Soundwaves Photon. That thing, it just makes me so happy. I have my own freaking intro. What more could you want? All right. So, oh, thanks, Frank. Yeah. And Soundwaves is here. I mean, that guy made it. So anybody that's looking for amazing music, then go listen to that. Or go ask him because he clearly knows what he's doing. That's what he did when he told me he did that when he was inebriated. So I mean, if that's the kind of thing he can do while drinking, imagine what he could do if he really put his mind to it. Alrighty, so we got a number of people that are supposed to show and be here. You can see the msp-waves waiting room already has a handful of folk. We're supposed to go talk to Bait002 about some African initiatives. We have Of Food and Art, who is actually Angelo, who runs They Will Kill You, the guy that has 1 million YouTube subscribers. That's his mom, and his mom is now on Steemians, and she's doing this food thing, so we're going to go talk to her. Os Bitbank is supposed to be here, so hopefully Crystal can still hear me. Crystal, go poke him in the ribs, or like go punch him in the face a couple times, because he gets radio shy or like voice shy or something. He's like one of the most amazing people that's on this entire freaking network, and then he gets scared to go talk to people. So that's why we need each other. Like he's my brother from another mother. This guy's amazing. He's here. Great. So you don't get to run away. All right. Yeah, go feed your face. And then I guess when you're ready, go hop into the msp-waves waiting room and we'll go chat with you. I know that Of Food and Art is sitting at like a 4 a.m. thing. They're out of time sync. And I'm not going to make somebody's mother wait super long in the middle of the night just to get on the radio. So hopefully, Rondon, are they sound checked? Can you confirm that they're okay? So Bait is sound checked, and I guess we're gonna wait on the three of them to make sure that they're doing okay as well. So we're just gonna poke around for another couple minutes. I guess one of the things I started poking around with is I don't know if I'm ready to go do this. I started playing with like charts and things. Now that I have significant amounts of money that's in crypto, I started like, oh, maybe I should actually look at this stuff. So I guess I'll show this briefly, and I don't want anybody making like life choices based off of what I'm doing here, but I do think that it's kind of neat. So let's go check this out. I'm gonna go turn on. If you'd like to go see a screen of what I'm doing, then you can go grab a screen from msp-waves.com /listen, and you can just like mute that because you don't want to get the double sound. But so this is kind of fun. I put this together, just trying to look at where the market's going, and I'm a chemist, and as a chemist, I've studied quantum mechanics. Studying quantum mechanics, I see that nearly everything is quantized. One example would be like my children's growth, because they don't grow like the same amount every single day. They flatten out, and it's a stair step. And stair step processes like that, where they actually do go through growth spurts, that's like a quantized event, like somewhere in their DNA, a number goes from 0 to 1 or 1 to 2, some energy level gets activated and they grow. So, um, so anyways, I started trying to check out these charts and seeing if I could ever figure out how to trade in this market. Um, so I'm gonna go show this stuff. I mean, again, don't. I'm a novice. I'm just kind of poking at these things, but this has been in my brain, and I got to make sure that people are sound checked. So we have a couple seconds here, but um, I was looking at this. It hit hard, and then suddenly it bounced back, and it bounced back with some real vigor. And then you can see that there's a pretty decent sized gap between the bottom here and the next leg up. And it looked like it accelerated even more because the second window, the jump is even larger. And then after that, it looks like it started decelerating somewhat, where the how much it was rising up. It looks like it's the exact same pattern that's repeating. It's kind of expanding out some as it's going. Maybe we're looking at another version of this too. Unmute myself in Discord. Man. Done. All right. So hopefully people could hear me. Otherwise, I'm weird. What coin are we showing? I mean, this is Bitcoin and Tether. Just looking at that chart, but this thing is sort of fascinating because I can just see that the pattern seems to be repeating, and it looks like it was slowing down. And what I mean by that is like the height difference here seems to be getting smaller because like this difference was 6,300 up to 6,800. So that's a difference of 500 between sort of the pathway here. And then this most recent one, it was like, I don't know, 50 or something. So how much it was going up seems to have stalled somewhat. But I like looking at that 5-minute chart because it kind of gives this neat description there. And then I also have been enjoying doing like a 3-hour or something and just trying to look at this. I mean, I have some fears when I look at this that we're just starting on this path and it's getting a little bit smaller and we're about to go repeat this whole thing down. Although I guess the thing that comforts me is that we don't really have, we're so much lower down on the resistance line that we might be okay. So that's one of the ones. The other thing that's kind of like giving me hope here, and I don't know how much hope people should have, but the other chart I would show is sort of this the LTC one. So again, I got a couple minutes where we got to kill this, but so this to me is starting to look very head and shoulders. And typically what you would do is you would go down to the bottom of this thing. It's at 140. You'd go to the top of the neckline, which is at 155, and you'd say, okay, from the top of the neckline, it's going to go up how far it went down. So this thing is going to go up to about 165 or something. But the amazing thing about that is that if we try to draw resistance lines on this thing, and if I go put a resistance line, from, and you guys can mock me or whatever, again, I'm just starting this whole process here. But if I cut through like this, and I'm going to treat these things as sort of like bear wicks, because you start seeing how the price dips after there. But this, oops, this guy, I don't know, maybe it does something like this. I mean, the neat thing to me is that this looks like it's kind of tunneling out of there. And if it's tunneling out of there, that's sort of a fascinating thing because there's no other real resistance line out there that looks like it's about to go kill it. So this is just me rambling and just me thinking out loud here. So again, don't invest any money in this, but to me it looks like this is head and shoulders-y. This thing is about to pop up. When it pops up, it's about to go throw itself out of this resistance level that has been kind of containing it. Maybe it's actually even more extreme than that. It's like this guy here. So it looks like it's really close to this apex, possibly about to go bust out of there. And if it busts out of there, to me, it doesn't look like there's too much else supporting it that would be fighting it. Maybe there's this guy too. But those are the things. These are the things that I've started thinking about. I don't know if I'm ever going to get any good at this. I don't know if anybody should ever listen to me, but I start thinking that Litecoin looks like it's kind of ready to blow, and if Litecoin blows, then I start thinking that we might actually be pulling out of this guy, and if we pull out of this, then I think there's going to be a lot of happy Steemians. Anyways, this is what I've been playing with. Let's go see. Let's go. I'm gonna put this away. I'm gonna go back to my Discord chat, and maybe I can pull some of these folks on air with me. Um, How do I? Oh, let me get rid of that screen. Okay, so let me go ask Ron. At Ron is oops, having issues. Bait is ready. All right, let's go start with Bait. So, Bait, I dragged you live on air. You are currently server muted. Let me unmute you. Oops. No, let me pull Bait back. Bait, you are live on air. You have currently muted yourself, so you're going to have to unmute. He's getting kicked. I don't know what that means. Can't even set him to have permissions. I don't know. Maybe you should log out of Discord and come back. Live radio, folks. Sometimes during live radio, you get some of these challenges. I don't know. Maybe that's just the universe telling me to continue on this story. What about food and art? Can I grab her on? Live anything. Yeah, I mean, this is incredible. We get to have whatever little freaky things that this wants to do. You know, the other thing I need to do, I'm getting like direct messages during my show. I'm gonna go switch to that. Chef and Christine are ready. But of food and art, let me go. We'll turn on. I will unmute these two folks, and then hopefully of food and art will join us in a second. Chef Steve, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, and then Christine Poulos, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So where?
It says don't have permission to send messages in the channel.
You might not be registered yet, and we have some things about being registered. Don't sweat that right this second because you're live on air and we can go deal with that later. For now, let's just. I know that Of Food and Art is doing a competition and thing. Let's just talk briefly. Like, how did you guys find out about Steam? What country are you currently calling in from? Where are you guys?
I'm in New Jersey, and I heard about Steam last summer. I was researching some altcoins, came across Steam, and as I read more and more about it, I was just totally amazed, and I joined immediately. At first, I just kind of poked around, and then I just kind of got more serious in my writing and doing competitions and that kind of stuff.
What about you, Christine?
I heard about Steam through my son. He was chatting to people about cryptocurrency, and he asked me to go. This was some 9 months ago, to go onto Steam, and I must honestly say it's changed my life. And I've met Steve and I've met Anna of Food and Art on the channel, and we've chatted, and we've finally got together to do this competition of our own, and we're all very, very excited to have met one another.
Now, I hear an accent for you as well. Are you also from New Jersey? Where are you from, Christine? You're cutting out a little. Try again.
From Cyprus.
From Cyprus? My goodness.
Currently. Originally from South Africa, and then I went over to London for a couple of years, and then finally came over here to Cyprus to join my older son.
What is your oldest son doing in Cyprus? Is he citizen?
No. At the moment he's in Thailand, and he's coming back to Cyprus next week. But he works online. He does animations. He does, and he's done quite a few things for us as well. If you look at our page, you'll see there's some animations. His partner has done a few caricatures for us, and Yeah, we're all involved. We're all creatives, and we're all involved in STEAM now. I have two other children. One is in London, and the other one is in America at the moment, touring as a singer-songwriter.
Oh, that's fun. Now, is your son working with Angelo from They Will Kill You?
Working with Angela, but he has met Angela, and well, they haven't met personally. They were hoping to meet in Thailand. But Jack will be back in Thailand and will definitely catch up with Angela then.
Man, talking to this group of people, I start feeling like, how come I'm not an international traveler? Like I've been in Massachusetts for like 5 years. I did national sales, so I traveled all over this country, but I still like barely ever leave the country. So I don't know. I got to work on that.
Yeah, it's fun to travel.
So
It is indeed.
how did how did you are you all just cooking fanatics? How did you Steve, Christine, and of Food and Art, how did the three of you connect?
We met. We
Is
were.
Anna, sorry,
Go on, Christine.
Anna online, or is she still off?
She's offline, but we could just tell
Offline.
the story.
Okay, fine. Do you want you go first, Steve?
Yeah, sure. We were all sort of acquaintances, and maybe back in August or so, and then we started doing the Steam Iron Chef competition, and that's when we really got to become good friends. When we were busy doing all these entries and whatnot, and just talking about the competition and whatnot, and then we just got personally connected, through Discord or through Steam at chat, and we just hit it off really well, and then we just had this idea to make our own competition called the Cook With Us competition. And that's what we're working on now. Hopefully we'll be up and running early next month. And we look to start, do like an official launch on the 1st of March.
So what is the contest? Is it a type of food, a type of cooking, a cooking contest? What is it?
It's going to be a variety of different challenges, and we really want the contest to be fun and community oriented and really about education and learning. I noticed, the three of us noticed, just by looking at different competitions, that a lot of folks out there want to be part of it, but they also need kind of a little help along, maybe learning some more tips and getting some more skills. So we really want to help people by showing them how to do stuff through the competition.
Yeah, you're in the Minnow support group. We believe that there's a lot of people that need some technical help getting started on Steam, regardless of whether it's music or cooking or art or blogging or conspiracy or videos. It doesn't really matter. Just this is a hard thing to learn. It is like basically brand new tech to just about everybody on the planet. And then you add in words like Steam, SPD, reputation, whales, voting power. There's some math. Like this thing gets complicated and weird pretty quick.
Oh yeah, I've been in the weeds for a few months now.
So, is this something that you think is going to run all year? Is this something that's going to be a month? What's the scope of the vision here?
We're still trying to figure that out. We don't want to get burnt out ourselves also. So we're thinking maybe we're on and off, maybe on for 2 months, off for a month, but we haven't worked out all those details yet.
And we're also trying to make it so that people can enter whenever they want to, and that they don't have to be on every single week, but they can choose a theme or a week that they enjoy, and we'll give them a start and an ending date.
Exactly, yeah.
So when do you think the first contest will come out?
The first contest, we're going to do the official launch on March 1st, and then the first actual contest, like when you can actually put an entry into, will be March 6th, and that contest wraps up on the 12th.
What's the content, or what have you described what the very first contest is?
Not yet. We haven't published that yet. We have a gigantic list of ideas, and we want to really make sure that we get the calendar really, well in order. So we'll have a calendar that outlines like 2 months of contests, so people can look ahead and see which ones they want to join. So right now it's still not published yet, but it will be up by the 1st.
Okay.
For that. Yeah, so we're really excited to get just the average person on. And when I first joined, it was because of Anna. And I found that week by week, my cooking skills improved. So I started off very, very, very much at the bottom. And Steve was giving me wonderful little comments and tips and encouragement. And I think this is what we want to be doing for the people who are making a home meal. Anyone can actually join. Anyone can feel that, oh, this is something I'd like to do, and then participate. It's not for chefs or for people who are great cooks by any means.
Exactly. Yeah, it's for the home cook and weekend warriors.
So how do you judge something like this? Like a standard cooking contest. If I go look at Cupcake Wars on TV, which my 5-year-old and 7-year-old like quite a bit, they'll bake cupcakes. There's a panel of 3 judges, and you sit around and like eat the cupcakes and say, this one was good. This one wasn't phenomenal. This one is, you talk it through and you share. Here are the different challenges that are coming through. Like, how do you judge a contest like this?
You can't taste the food.
Well, you can taste the food actually by reading it, but it's a lot like every other competition. The image and the composition of the dish will be really important. How they present the dish, the creativity, is it an original idea, and then just how they describe the dish. That really gives us an idea of what their thought is and what the how they compose the dish, like in their mind.
Okay. Yeah. So one of the so another show that my daughters have loved and I've got roped into watching quite a bit is Project Runway. And one of the things about that struck me quite a bit was the degree to which the best designs always seem to have the best story that were behind it. And when you had that story, it turned into a presentation and really was cohesive. And the people that didn't have that vision or the story were never quite as good as those that had it.
Exactly, I totally agree with that, and that's part of with the description of the dish and like the story behind it. We're looking for a very similar type of feature for our competition.
Steve, Anna, and myself, we seem to have quite a lot of banter going on between us, a lot of sense of humor, and that's what we really want to put across to our contestants. Having a lot of fun.
Well,
Yep, and learning.
That sounds excellent.
Yeah.
So how are you going to provide a lot of instructions for how this is supposed to work?
Yeah, each week, as we announce each contest, there'll be detailed description of how it should be done. If there's any special rules, we'll have basic rules for the competition, but then each week it might be slightly different. Based on the what we're doing.
Okay. I mean, my wife makes fun of me because I can barely make cereal.
I'm here!
Yay!
All right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Did you talk bad about me?
No,
Well, now that you're here, we have to be very careful what we say.
Hi guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Anna.
Well,
Happy to have you here.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh.
Glad you made it on. Are you in Thailand now? Where are you?
No, I'm in the United States.
Okay. I was starting to feel bad that I was like, that this might actually be something like, I guess it would be 12 hours away, so it would be 8 a.m. or something. I was worried that I was waking you up in the middle
It's
of
worse
the
for
night.
Christine. It's 3 a.m. for Christine.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the show. Aggro, your guests are very, very loud compared to your voice.
I'm not quite sure what to do about it.
turn down desktop audio on OBS
Okay.
because they're all consistently louder than you.
Okay.
So do that, and
Let's-
your recording will sound much better.
All right. Well, hopefully these levels are a little bit better. I don't know. Can you guys, Ron?
Yeah, just
they-
can you look at the
They look like
levels
they-
on the thing?
Yeah, they look roughly the same now. Hopefully the audience can say that's better. The volume is
All
good
right.
here.
Sorry for the interruption,
no,
guys.
that's okay. Thanks, Ron.
You're welcome.
All right. So, of food and art, how did I think I know the answer to this, but how did you find out about Steam?
Oh, yeah, you do know the answer. It's because of They Will Kill You. Angelo, my son, he got me into blogging, and he had mentioned that before in one of your radio shows. He got me into blogging and Steam It because I used to blog not actively, and it wasn't really getting anywhere. But with Steam It, I got motivated, and there's a lot of things going on there, and gave me an opportunity to really share my stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing what a little bit of financial incentive will do to get, you know, I spent 4 years doing social media on Facebook, and that was, like I was glad that I did it, and it was a good experience. But man, this is like it. I'm doing the same amount of work and doing the same amount of research and diving into stuff, but now I'm actually getting paid for it, and that seems infinitely
Yeah, it's
better.
great.
Yeah, well, and I feel that there's an audience with Steemit. The blogs that I had before, they were, just really not going anywhere. I mean, my friends would ask me about recipes and stuff, and I would direct them to my blog, but no one else would know to go.
Mm.
Whereas in Steemit, you kind of have that. You develop relationships. You engage with people, and then you have you kind of have your audience. You develop your audience. You create a little group that follows you, and so that's good, and it keeps growing.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
totally agree with that.
it's sustainable. I mean, this place
Yes.
is amazing because it's sustainable revenue, um,
Yeah.
and the effort. Like I got up to 2,000 followers on Facebook and nothing happened. I got
Yeah.
2,000
Yeah.
followers on Steam, and I suddenly had like 500 Steam power or something. Like it continues to grow and it continues to manifest, and that's the same thing with the contest too. I mean, I don't know if I have I I think I might have the longest running Re-Steam contest on the network. Um, so there's other contests like Open Mic has been here longer than us, but for at least a Re-Steam contest, I think we have the longest one going. It's about since June, and the account that's on is now over like 10 or 12,000 followers. Like
Wow.
it took a while and it took a lot of effort, and it was a group effort and it was a team, but ultimately I think teams like yours where the three of you are working together will make that so much more successful over the long term.
Yes, I believe that.
Yeah, the support between the three of us is great, and just for getting ideas and getting work done, it's fantastic.
I mean, you all bring different things to the table too, different skill sets. So I think
Exactly.
that's going to go a long way to be able to create new tools, new ideas, and just not get beaten up. Like a week or two is going to go by and nobody's going to participate because statistics. And you're going to all feel depressed or frustrated, but at least if you have a couple other people that are doing this with you, you don't just give up. You say, all right, well, let's try something different. Let's experiment with this. Let's talk to people in media. Let's start our own server. Let's get food going. Let's find other groups that talk about food. Like all that stuff, you work together and can make it happen.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that.
There's somebody's mic is making quite a lot of noise. I'm not sure who that is.
I think that's a food and art is breathing
Breathing
directly
into the
the mic.
microphone.
Oh.
We try to have as
Anna-
many audio malfunctions in the intro to the show as possible.
I thought Anna had fallen asleep or something.
She's just
Okay, it's farther. Okay, I'm farther from the mic now.
All right, so we're gonna get the contest going in March. Are you guys only interested in food? What else are you planning on, or what else do you blog about besides the food? Or what are you interested in? Do you have set goals beyond this, or is this like the full-time focus? How does this fit into your life on Steam?
This is for me is going to definitely be a business that I'm going to really enjoy. I'm going to love meeting new people on the cooking channel. As far as open mic is concerned, I've got 3 or 4 artists that I'm pushing to go on there every week and enjoying very, very much their participation there. So I'm kept pretty busy on open mic as well. But loving the idea of doing this business with Anna and Steve, and very, very excited to see how the future how the future pans out.
For me, I'm just really excited because I mostly do posts about food and the food world, and I also have interest in foraging and that kind of stuff, and a little bit of photography work. But to me, this Cook With Us food contest is really bigger than me. So that's what I'm really excited about. Like I'm creating something with these guys that's going to be much bigger than myself.
Well, Angelo, who is They Will Kill You, who's put together multiples of these shows. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but we have the ability to go broadcast video too. We don't currently have a cooking show, so if the three of you can figure out how to go get video presentations to happen, we could either play things live if you're willing to go put up with live video, or we could take your recordings and put them on to sort of backfill and have it actually show how to cook and what that might look like. So,
That's a very interesting idea. I like that.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yes, this is something we have considered, but we thought it might be a very good way to begin by just doing the normal cooking show and then let it develop into to
Yeah,
videos.
branch out.
so I have a theater background, not tons, but I did it in high school. I did it in college. I did a lot of playwriting. And one of the things that I like about Discord is that you basically get to break the fourth wall of like, you know, you don't normally in like a TV show, you don't stop and like directly you might talk to your audience or like at your audience, but you don't really typically engage with them very much.
Yes,
Whereas here, you get streams of memes of people that are like, they'll either show their cooking or ask questions, or it can be a much more engaging interface than what people are used to. So, um, I mean, to me, there's something there that makes this platform unique and positive, and I don't know. We don't have cooking, and your group, in part because of Angelo's success and having that sort of 1 degree of separation away, makes me think that you guys could figure out how to get video streaming. And if that's the case, then we could go put you live while you're doing this too.
Yeah, I think
That'd be exciting.
yeah, that's
that
something
would
that we
be
can
amazing.
explore. Yeah, that's something that we can explore in the future. It sounds like something interesting, and I think about Ala of Ala's Yummy
Yep.
Food. She does videos too. Right now she does like videos for about tutorials on Steam It, right? And I think that's very effective and it's entertaining. So that's something that we can do too, but we can focus on food.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, like Crystal's saying, people love their cooking shows. And if you guys can put something like that together, whether you do it with us, whether you just put it on YouTube, whether you do, the food part of this seems to have like, to get a lot of people's interest, you have to show them what it looks like, show them the process. Maybe you can even collect videos from the people that have cooked it, um, and just sort of collect, you know, crowdsource the next Julia Child, if you can get that sense.
That's a cool idea.
I mean,
Right.
there's more things that we can do through Discord and Steam than you can do with traditional media, and I hope that you guys explore above and beyond and sort of think about how do we not just make engaging content, but how do we engage with our audience so that they are doing this directly with us?
Well, this is one of the
Yeah.
things that Steve said that really impressed me, that he would be giving people tips and talking to them and engaging with the contestants. And I loved that they would feel free to ask questions, that they would be given advice, and slowly but surely they would improve their skills.
Right. And also regarding the videos, we had talked about that initially as well as a group, to include videos. In fact, the first idea that we had for the cooking contest was to put videos up. But then we decided, okay, let's scale this back down because we don't have the experience yet. And we wanted it to be simple and accessible to people. So we made it simple and thought that later on we can expand and we can explore further. But definitely the videos, that's attractive, that's something that we probably would be going towards, not for now, but for later on. And thanks for your invitation, that would be a good option for us as well.
I mean, the last thing I'll share about that is that the I'm using a Logitech webcam that's broadcasting in 1080p that cost me $130. So,
Oh,
all you don't the like very fancy version of this is that you get like a mounted camera or camcorder and you do like full soundstage production and lights and all this. But honestly, while you're getting started, you can do this with a laptop and a $130 webcam and um, have it be production ready.
right. And actually for contestants too, even their phone, right, taking videos, short videos as entries should be good too.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
want it to be as easy as possible for people to get involved.
Yes.
So, I don't know. It sounds like a cool project. I do. I have another set of people that are like international folks that want to be on the radio so they can also go to bed. Um, I feel like this is at a decent spot. We've talked about the contest. Um, we have some ideas going. You have an open invitation if you'd like to use MSP-waves, and we can either host some content or the PalNet itself. If you guys want to have a room in here to sort of collect food related groups and things like that, we're happy to serve as an incubator for you. Um, just let us know how we can be helpful, and uh, me and the mods will work to help you grow your community within this. Or
Great.
not, because it's all voluntary, so you get to choose how you want to interact on the platform, but it's a standing invitation.
Thank you
Thank
very, very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
it's
very
very
much.
Thank you
much
for having us
appreciated.
here.
And certainly,
Great.
as you get closer and you have announcements and things like that, just DM me. I'm a notoriously bad curator, but if the people that I know and sort of interact with, if they send me things directly and poke me and say, "Hey, Ag, please send this out," I'm more than happy to go support the folks
Oh,
that I know.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
thank you so
That
much.
would be amazing.
thank you.
All right. Well,
Uh,
that sounds like a great project. I'm gonna bring you back into the to the main room. They can't post links right this second. So my advice would be if they can either go into the registration room and they can register, and that way they can go chat, or they could possibly I'm gonna go volunteer Soundwaves Photon. You could do some direct messages with Soundwaves Photon, and he can go spread those links for you. Um, Bank, what time is it for you? And Bait, what time it is for you guys? I think I'm gonna do this based off of um, like how close are you to bedtime, so that I'm not keeping you up all day. All right, that's midday, so I'm not too worried about you. Bait, it's probably 3 a.m. So I'm gonna go unmute Bait. I'm gonna make my co-founder Bank wait just a second. Um, okay, so Bait, can you say hello?
Yeah, good morning.
All
It's
right.
actually
Now you sound a little
different.
quiet to me. Give me a second while I increase your volume here. Try talking to me again.
I said, good morning.
Good morning, Bait. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, fine, thank you.
So where
How
are you?
about you?
I actually happen to be a little exhausted. I stayed up late last night watching yet another phase of the correction happen, and I just couldn't stop watching. So I'm a little sleepy, although I am glad to see that Bitcoin's back up to nearly 8,400 and seems to be rising. Um,
Yeah, that's comfort.
I mean, it'll bring me great comfort just to just to have this thing moving up. How are you? You have a project. Um, can you share what country you're in and tell us a bit about the story of what you're working on? How did you find Steam, and how are you trying to work with Steam?
Okay, okay. I'm from Nigeria, and I actually heard about Steemians from a friend of mine who we used to be partners in business at some point. Then he told me about Steemit. That was about last September, September 2017. So I decided to register and give it a try. Sometimes when people tell you about Steam, they don't really tell you about the technicalities involved. They just tell you join a social media platform where you get paid for writing. And I got here and it was quite challenging. Then ever since then, I was being consistent, and I decided to keep working on my blog. Then it was my own experience that actually bettered the project I'm working on now, because at some point I was really discouraged, and out of my discourage I decided to start a project that I call the Minnow School, where I actually teach people out of my own experience to stay on the blockchain no matter what, because I realized the beauty of Steam. It actually does more than just give you some bucks. It develops you internally. You get to use your mind and you work on yourself as you write on your blog on daily basis. For some people on weekly basis, you actually get to interact with this caliber of people who are intellectuals. They get to check if what you are doing is quality or not, and I think that's good. Then currently now I work on two different projects. One, like I said, is the offline Minnow school, where I have a classroom where I train minnows and newbies to manage their expectations on Steemit and get them to keep logging. Then the second project I'm working on is with a team which is Steam Exchanger. Steam Exchanger is a website that enables Steemit users in Nigeria here interact with the blockchain in a very friendly manner, where we get to enable them use their fiat currencies to invest on Steam, and the other way around. They can actually convert Steam or SBD to their local bank account and power up from their local bank account. The website was launched about 19 days ago, and since then we've served over 700 persons, and I think that's
Wow.
a good improvement.
Well, that's phenomenal. I received one of those posts. When I saw that, I was like, okay, this is actually a pretty big step. Um, were there other exchanges that you can do that on, or is that really like one of the first ways that Nigerians are able to go purchase Steam um, without sort of knowing somebody that could sell it to them directly?
I didn't get
So before Steam Exchanger, how easy was it for a Nigerian to purchase Steam?
it was very difficult, risky. We used WhatsApp, Telegram groups where you send amount of return, they send you team. It was very risky, and we decided for a solution.
You're breaking up a little bit, but it sounds like you were using a Telegram group, and the Telegram group you would have to like, here you send me cash and I'll send you
Yeah,
crypto, and yeah,
exactly.
that is ripe for abuse. There's almost no way to make that like unless you're already part of a community doing that. That sounds um, incredibly easy to abuse. I mean, that's like the scam, right? The scam is, you know, you send me money and then I'll send you money back. Like that's the oldest scam of the book.
Yeah, that's very true. That was one of the sometimes when you're dealing with crypto market, you sometimes certain price, and before you get to reach someone who is intending to sell, the price actually goes back region. You don't get to make that move anymore.
You're cutting
So
out.
it's
You're cutting in and out quite a bit, Bait. Are you on a phone or are you on a? Where's your internet connection?
phone. How about now?
Oh, that sounds much better.
Okay, like I said, sometimes when we want to interact on those Telegram groups, in crypto markets, there are times you really intend to take advantage of prices. Sometimes price can be real high and you intend to sell. Sometimes price can be real low and you intend to keep and buy more. But before you get to reach those people who will be intending to buy or sell, it kind of gets late sometimes and the price goes back to that region where you don't want to make any moves anymore. But with
Yeah, that sounds horrible. Um,
yeah,
so did you code the Steam exchanger? How did you actually find the people that put that the program together or the script together?
yeah, I actually promote Steemit here in Nigeria, and my approach is to promote Steemit to people, promote it with people who can actually add value to the blockchain. I have a lot of promoters here who actually just recruit ordinary members, but the perspective I move with are people who can actually add something. So I used to have these old friends. They are programmers, and I spoke with them about Steemit, and I told them about what my plan was, and they said they could do something like that. And in a few weeks' time they were able to set it up, and here we have it.
That's fantastic. I mean, I really do think that this has the power to be a game changer. Um, just it's too so having a stable currency um, seems incredibly important. Having um, a currency that isn't getting constantly devalued seems super important. Having an alternative to government currency seems really important so that the people can actually have some money and some value. This just seems like it could be a game changer for a, all nations collectively, but it seems like there's a lot of things that would benefit Africa specifically.
Yeah, yeah, very well. We actually intend to take it to 35 countries in Africa using our maiden currency, Naira, as a base currency. And right now we are serving the Nigerian community very well. Before the end of this week, you're actually going to have the Power Up with Naira option available on the website. Right now we have features such as selling Steam and buying recharge card for airtime for mobile phones on the website right now. And before the end of the week, we are going to have a power up with Naira where users can power up directly from their bank account. Are
That
you with
sounds
me?
awesome.
Yeah,
How,
because we actually hello.
how big is the Nigerian community right now? Do you have any idea how many people there are?
Yeah, as friend, the Nigerian community should be over. I believe over 20,000 people, if I'm not mistaken.
There's 20,000 Nigerians on the Steam blockchain.
Yeah, I think over that because I actually have a friend at Kesolink. He releases records of new account registered on Steam it every week. He releases over 190 names per week on his record, which gives us a check on how many users coming on the blockchain. Yeah, and he's been doing that for over 1 month now. And before then, we've had tons of users from Nigeria on Steam.
Wow. I had no idea that the community was that large. That's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
So what do you think the next stages are? It sounds like you're going to use the Steam exchanger. You're going to bring that to more countries. What else? What help do you need? What can we do to go? Um, what can we do to support that? I mean, do you feel like all the Nigerians know that this is even an option yet?
Yeah, in less than 2 weeks, we are running in for over 19 days now. If I yeah, 19 days, and we've served over 700 users who are constantly using the website. So as it stands now, we are still hoping to get more visibility because a lot of people still don't know about Steam Exchanger. So we've been making blog posts on a Steam Exchanger handle on Steam to keep people informed about the innovations. And we've been meeting several leaders of various communities on Steam in Nigeria to introduce Steam to their communities. And as it stands now, about 3 or 4 leaders have actually adopted it and introduced it to their community. So if we've gained enough trust in Nigeria, then we begin to move to other countries. So right now, we actually need help with visibility to get more people to use Team Exchanger and let them know about it.
Well, I resteamed one post. I'm happy to go resteam some more. So as you get, some kind of milestone, or as you have some numbers to report, or as you have good news to report, certainly feel free to DM that to me directly. Because that just having financial freedom seems like such a big liberator, and I feel like that website would really open up um, everyday Africans to a much more global like currency marketplace. Just give them a lot more options than they would have had before.
Yeah, that's true. Because I am actually fascinated with the concept of Steemit. It's actually this um content oriented mining of the cryptocurrency, which
Yep.
enables people to engage with the crypto world without actually engaging with the crypto world. People mine without knowing they are mining. So it's very friendly. And here in Africa, recently, I think that's about 2 years ago, we actually had this issue with several Ponzi schemes coming from all over the world, and a lot of people were exploited here in Nigeria in particular. I don't know if you heard about MMM and most of these Ponzi scheme coming around here. Then a lot of people are actually paranoid to do online investment. So we use Team Exchanger to get investors to see cryptocurrencies as friendly currencies and get them to see the beauty of blockchain technology and introduce Team into people's daily lives, because we very soon will be integrating a feature on the website that enables people shop with Steam and perform various transactions with Steam.
Yeah, especially with Steam Connect being, it seems like Steam Connect is pretty simple to go install and get. You know, it doesn't seem like it's that challenging to make it so that you can accept Steam as a payment gateway. As I think more
Yeah.
and more communities do this, and as we get more and more people, we'll see more and more tools that start making it so that it's basically off the shelf. You're just like, oh, here's my WordPress site. This is my WordPress site plugin. Here's my checkout cart. Here's my Steam checkout cart plugin. You just click the button and it loads up so that it's ready to accept Steam. I mean, I don't think that we're that far away from being able to do stuff like that.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, and that's our goal. We actually want to make blockchain technology popular and want to take it to the moon of every African countries, because I believe we really need to decentralize the offline economy and embrace crypto because it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean the I have nothing to say but agreement. I mean, I my values are peace, abundance, and liberty, and I feel like the Steam blockchain is the single most effective tool I've found to go spread the the platform itself. I think teaches peace. I think the web-based currency where it's not issued as debt and it's controlled by the people, not by central banks, I think that creates abundance. And then the amount of free speech that you are able to have on a blockchain where, yeah, you can get flagged, but your content always stays on the block. Um, that just feels really powerful to me, and I feel like um, as more people all over the world are able to embrace this, I think it will undermine how governments attempt to control people um, while not undermining the way that people can take care of one another.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And I actually see this level of love among people. I mean, since most of them joined Steemit, I see the way people assist one another. And, I've actually done some meetups here in Nigeria, and I get to work with people who I didn't even know at all. And we worked in a very friendly environment as if we've known for years. I think Steemit is actually changing the game for most of us, and we get this new sense of purpose because as we promote the blockchain, we are adding value to people's lives. So our ultimate goal here in Nigeria when it comes to promotion is to get the eyes of investors attracted to the Steam blockchain and cryptocurrency world in general, because we believe if we can actually use the small group of people we have, which we are currently working now, because and my team are doing some meetups on various campuses. Like my offline Minnow school is actually on the campus of a university where I study. So I believe if we can get STEAM into the limelight through the lives of youth and students, investors will want to know what are these people really shouting about. And I believe with platforms like Steam Exchanger, they're actually going to get attracted within no time.
But the other piece of that is that so when I think about how people want to interact with others and do sort of international commerce, I think labor comes into that, and I think digital productions comes into that. So if you can, if we can get music and export music out of Africa, if we can export, um, artwork or programming or anything that can be sort of transported over digital means. I mean, I think one of the things it could do is give, African programmers, artists, and musicians direct access to, first world nations and the wealth that they have and get paid um, what I would what I think is probably substantially more than what they currently make for the same kind of content because they don't have access. But as we can provide through the internet, here's a way that you can have your voice heard and sort of communicate, and then through Steam and these kind of platforms, you can start trading directly. I mean, I think that could have a enormous impact on sort of a redistribution of wealth much more towards equality than the sort of scammy system that we have in place now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, I think, and we've been working tirelessly to ensure that that happens, to actually get an ordinary person to reach the rest of the world and make their voice heard. And I've been making some Facebook ads encouraging that. Currently at my offline Minnow school, the for those who have sent a proposal to, I actually included that we would like to have a community where every kind of talent and gift is entertained, because for some people they think STEAM is about just writing, but I tell them STEAM is about value for value. You add value to the blockchain, and the blockchain gives you value in return. So right now at my offline Minnow school, I actually have singers, I have artists, and in no time I'm going to be featuring their works on my blog. Then I'll ensure that their works gains visibility, and most of them are also on the platform, and they can make their voice heard. I have a couple of them who sing, who dance, and who do a lot of beautiful things. I actually got some kind. I want to get something set up for them. I was able to get a camera, and with time I'll get lightning materials, and my team will ensure that these people actually have a professional kind of presentation so they can show the world what they have to offer.
Well, I like the way you think here, because frankly, I'm doing the same things of getting a camera, trying to get a space, getting lights to be able to do professional presentation to go help people. Um, there are people with skills and that could be doing well, but they don't have enough capital, and that's not just for Africans. I mean, there's plenty of poor Americans or just normal Americans that don't have an extra couple $1,000s to get a studio or a space or the camera itself. So I feel like if we can um, provide a way for people to create media and sort of take some of the startup costs off of their hands and put that into a community cost, then suddenly we could start getting little pods of novel content creation. And if it's being paid for by this entire community, then then I think that creates a different future than the one that we have right now, where again, hopefully, um, I still think that productive people should have more wealth than unproductive people. But right now, it's not a question of productive or not. It is, we have a system that seems really well positioned to steal wealth from all other groups. You have like a very narrow set of bankers that are able to harvest wealth from all over the world. Um, and cryptocurrency seems to be a way to directly undermine that, and like you're sharing, use the value that you create as a person to also get value back from the blockchain.
Yeah, that's right. And I think I and my team will keep working on that because I have actually developed a level of passion for this cause more than I ever thought about when I started out. And I think it's a beautiful thing getting to use my life as a medium to help other people. And in no time, you'll be hearing from us at the offline middle school and the Steam Exchanger team in general. We are going to be creating more and more value for in the lives of people by allowing them to engage with the platform and think with their lives, because I think Steam it actually rewards people for using their minds, not anything else. So if someone has something valuable, we are trying as much as possible to ensure that they gain visibility. And I think in a couple of in less than a week, I actually want to start a contest at the offline middle school where I get people bring whatever it is they have, and I have some other persons review their works and they get rewarded. I think that's a good encouragement for anyone who has believes they have something valuable to offer. The entrance to the contest will be open for everybody, especially people who have been participating at the offline middle school. So I think that'll be an incentive to keep them working hard.
Well, I'm happy to try to contribute to that, buy some re-steams or provide some seed money for the contest. That's something certainly that I think that the Minnow Support Project can support as well. So um, I like to do business with people that I know. I'm glad that we've spoken because now I feel like I know you better. Let me I'm a fan and an advocate. Let me see, as things develop, come talk to me, and um, let's find ways. You know, again, I always go back to the radio. I think that this one of the things that I could see doing is like if you have a camera and you start filming and you have different works of art, different performances, different whatevers, you could have a show because we can broadcast video too, where you sort of go back and forth, either talking to the artist and showing clips of their work, or sort of talking about the work and maybe even doing something live. I mean, we have ways to support that. Um, so put that in your brain too, as you're developing your community. I don't know what sort of resources you have at the university, but where there's an internet connection, some OBS, and a camera, we have the ability to go broadcast what people are doing.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to work on creating documentations where users get to I mean, when we talk about creative work, I believe the best person who's in a position to explain that to the rest of the world is the one who actually created it, because there's a deep connection between what's made and who made it. I believe that's
Absolutely.
going, yeah.
And on the Steam Exchanger side of this too, you know, as there's going to be a time where you hit $10,000, or you hit a certain number of naira, or you hit a brand new country. You're going to get milestones, and as you hit those milestones, I certainly want you to go direct message me those, because I want to go. Um, I want to help spread that because I think that's going to be a game changer, and it could literally onboard thousands of people from Africa. That
Yeah,
tool sounds extremely powerful.
yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Humbled to have been able to come up with that.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, there we go. That you've been listening to MSP Waves Radio. This is the Minnow Mayor Town Hall. Bait, I'm gonna go put you back into the audience room, and I'm gonna go invite my co-founder here, Osbit Bank. Any last thought that you'd like to share here, Bait?
Yeah, I would just like to say a very big thank you to MSP Waves for giving this great opportunity, and I would also like to give my word that we keep improving and working tirelessly to ensure that what we have planned and the vision we saw when we started this whole thing comes to fruition. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, that was Bait 002. As you heard, he was the creator of the um, sort of a offline minnow school for Nigeria, as well as a program called Steam Exchanger that helps convert local currencies into Steam. All right. So now it is my absolute pleasure to go bring on board. Hopefully, everybody in here knows him. These are a lot of familiar faces that are in here. But um, so a long time ago, going all the way back to June, which is like an internet millennia, I founded this Discord group and called it the Peace, Abundance, and Liberty Network. And the first three people that I think I dragged in here were Osbit Bank, Team Steam, and Canadian Coconut. And I have been interacting with Os for maybe, I actually don't know the first conversation we had, but I was following his work and totally impressed by what he was doing. Like I know that I ran into Canadian Coconut within a month of being online, and I think Os Bitbank is similar. And Os has really been, my brother in arms in this. Of as like I have a lot of the I have a nice skill set to go help build communities, but I certainly don't always have the technical skills. Um, and so I feel like Os and I are really able to go balance one another. I'm certainly the louder of the two of us, um, but I just respect the living hell out of this guy. He's so smart, so kind, very caring, extremely passionate, and he's literally one of my favorite people on the block. It is my absolute pleasure, just a real joy for me to go invite Osbit Bank onto the Minnow Mayor Town Hall. How are you, sir?
Thanks, mate. I'm great. What an intro.
Well,
And also,
I mean it, man. Like, I feel like I got a brother from another mother. I feel like I have a partner in this. I feel like I have another sensible mind, and I feel like I got somebody that really, really fills a lot of skill gaps that I have. And I spend many days and many hours just grateful that you're here and grateful that you're doing this with me. So thank you. And you're not hitting push to talk or something because you're silent, or maybe.
sorry, your audio is breaking up a bit for me. I'm struggling.
Let me disconnect real quick. I'll be right back. Hold on. Let's try this. My audio should be good. All right. Is that any better? Disconnect and reconnect.
That's way better. Yeah,
All right.
cool.
So, alrighty. So, how did you find Steam? How did you like? What brought you to this platform? Do you remember at all? What was your driving motivation to be here?
Honestly, it's been forever. I think I heard about Steam on the it used to be called something else before it was Stake Pool through Versticken back in the day. There was a trading group. And a bunch of those guys got into it. I went in, I saw that they were looking for developers basically, and just jumped straight onto that path because, yeah, I could do it. I'm all about the freedom of speech aspect of this platform, and a lot of the strength, my higher strength votes go towards journalists and people just doing investigative journalism, that sort of stuff. I used to focus on that a lot myself, but now these days I just prefer to support others.
Yeah, there comes a time where when doing some of that work yourself, like there's a lot of people that can do research, but there's not a lot of people that can either curate, run groups, run communities, or kind of keep the wheels from falling off of this place. So I understand how you sort of go from like massive content creation, which I normally think of that as being like a real dolphin based activity. You know, you have minnows I'd encourage to comment a lot. The dolphins I'd encourage to author a lot. And then by the time that you're a whale, and especially if you're a whale and a witness, there often isn't time for that. You know, you just got so many projects and your fingers in so many pies. I mean, like we literally run a 12,000 person organization. Shit takes time.
Yeah, it's fascinates me how everyone seems to evolve over time on this platform. Like as my following's grown, a following I mostly got for doing either development or like my Pizzagate stuff, for example, which triggered a whole lot of people.
Yeah, it did.
As it's grown, it's much more effective for me to try and re-steam and promote other people's work than it is for me to spend all of the time researching myself.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So you have a lot of projects that you're working on now. I mean, you have how many servers are you currently managing?
I think about 8.
Yeah. So what are they doing? Like, I know people know you as a good curator, and they know you as somebody that's helping to lead the Minnow Support project, and they know you as a developer. But I'm not sure that everybody knows exactly what work you have personally put together. So what have you built? What do you manage? What is your impact? How have you actually grown tools to support the network?
All right. Lately, the thing I've been working on, like just yesterday actually, is Centrelink and trying to support the Team Australia community. Before that, there's a heap of my tools that are off the SteamBiz domain. Basically, just a heap of different one-off tools for checking payments and how finding effective promotion costs. There's just a straight blockchain viewer on there. There's a heap of stuff that isn't even really public on that domain. What else?
I use that, by the way. I use pending payouts quite a bit to try to figure out how I'm doing. I mean, I personally use your tools. I guess we should. I'll put this. If you guys haven't, SteamViz.
Honestly, a lot of these feel way outdated now, and I really want to rework a lot of them. I find myself using Steam World for payouts.
You don't even use your own thing?
Not lately. Not Steam World just works immediately. It doesn't need to be refreshed. I really want to rework mine.
Well, it's SteamWorld dot what? .net, .org?
.org. I had to look it up.
All right, steamworld.org. I'll go dive into this thing later. But so where did you learn to program? How did you get those skills? What got you in? Like you were into Bitcoin early too. How the hell did you find out about crypto?
Well, I mean, I started programming, I think I was maybe 15 or 16, or probably earlier than that, really. But that's when I actually recognized it as programming and wanting to make new things. And it's not even really programming. Like most of my initial drive was to hack things that already existed, or to get past copy protection, or to just get around restrictions. And I never had any budget or money to buy things, so just everything was dodgy for me. But sorry, what was the other question? Got blank.
No, I was wondering what criminal enterprises you were doing at the age of 16.
Yeah, mostly that.
So how did you find crypto in that? Like how did you get hooked up into that?
Good question. I think it was through some of the reverse engineering forums for cracking that I was into at the time. They started going on about cryptography and all that, and then I stumbled across the Bitcoin white paper. I think we bought the top of the $20 bubble, and we were absolutely devastated when it crashed down to like $2 or $3. Like, it was not long after I met Crystal. Yeah, bought in, watched it crash down. Matt Gox tried to screw us over like way earlier before everything blew up there. They tried to take our 10 Bitcoins at the time, and yeah, I sort of fought them, and fighting at Mount Gox support made me more sort of passionate about the project. But I had no idea what I was into, until recently.
So, how much of your time does the Steem blockchain take? Do you have full-time employment elsewhere? Do you spend all of your time in Minnow support? Do you spend all your time programming? What is it? What do you spend it with your kids and family? I mean, I guess that should fall somewhere on the radar too. Like, what's a normal day for you look like?
Normal. I forget normal, but lately my normal day, I get up. I'm a full-time carer. We've got 2 autistic kids, like you know, but I'm not sure about the audience. So I don't have other work. I'm a full-time Steemian and carer. We usually get them off to school in the mornings. I come back, I catch up, I check all my servers. I do a lot of manual curation. I've got right now 30 or so direct message windows from this morning alone that I haven't gotten back to yet. I spend most of my time in MSP consulting with other people in their projects. And yeah, when in between that, for example, I've got a little work list here in the corner from just stuff I want to try and get over today. It's, I don't know, like 20 items long. I've got mostly development stuff, basically. And
what stuff would that be? What are your priorities, or what do you think the blockchain needs? How do we improve this place? Like, what about the current vision, the current pathway? What's broken? How do we fix it? And is it stuff that Steemit should be doing? Is it stuff that we, the users, should be doing? Like, what's good, what's bad, and what is it that you can personally work on or change to make it better?
Personally, user retention is what I'm trying to help with by giving basically trying to work on the low end and give people something for their effort. That was my drive with Centrelink and with a bunch of my initiatives and open mic now. If we can get retain users because they're not being completely ignored after putting in a heap of effort, I think that'll help. And that ties, like, there's also a massive content discovery issue, but they're sort of related. Lately, honestly, I'm really struggling because the content discovery issue is the main thing that's driving me nuts. Trending is near useless lately, and I'm trying to look at different ways to discover content based on not just who you're following, but who your followers are, who the people you're following are following. I've expanded that web of trust idea I brought up months ago now.
Yeah, that's been a while.
I've got a whole bunch of experiments going on with Steembits and using that idea to try and discover new content creators based on other people. There's a lot of issues really with the platform at the moment, and I think a lot of it does need to be sorted out by Steemit Inc. because they have the massive stake. Some of it can be fixed through some hard fork rules, like we discussed earlier, a separate pool for downvoting and taking away the cost for people to downvote content, basically, because nobody wants to do it now because it just costs what everyone else they support with upvotes. There's just a bunch of Hang on.
Oh,
Getting phone calls at the same time.
Yeah, you're a busy man.
Yeah, to me, the main issues come back to content discovery and making sure that we're not just rewarding the people that have the money to spend on bid bots or that already have a pre-existing massive network of whales.
And that's a challenge. I mean, just this there seems to be quite a lot of there seems to be a lot of the whales that sort of like I don't think it's always outright, but it's definitely there are times where it's like, all right, I vote for him because he votes for me, or I vote for her because she votes for me. Like it's not always you don't. Sometimes it's blatant and there's like financial contracts, and other times it's just sort of like the unspoken rule of thumb is that we're going to sort of do some of these post rewards back and forth, and that bugs me. You know, like
Yeah, it really bugs me too, man. Like a lot. I found myself seeing some of this blatant vote swapping around the place and content that would have taken 5 minutes max at the top of trending. It makes me bitter, honestly, often. And it's why I've been going quiet a lot of the time because I want to put out positive things in the world. I don't want to be just bitching all the time.
well, I think you're right. I think the down voting pool would be helpful there too. Actually, I started asking some people at Utopian, and they didn't get back to me, so I'm going to go do that again. But Transisto sort of poked me and was like, "Look, if you want to go solve this, and go solve it by reprogramming it." And I was like, "Well, I can't program much, but I know some people that can." So it's been on my radar to go figure out how to get a new task request in there and try to get some Utopian devs to go build a downvote pool for us and use our own resources to go make that happen. Did that come
Sorry, sidetracked.
Well, you're a
No,
busy
I agree.
guy.
I'd be willing to chuck in a bounty towards it as well. Like I can program, but it's just trying to find out. It's a big issue. I don't know. Like Web of Trust is just one part of it. Which that leads into helping with the content visibility. But there are many issues and lots of complicated game theory dynamics and crowd psychology going on now that no individual can really fix on their own. I don't think we need public education. We need platform level tools to help.
And nobody told me when I was going to be a witness that like, oh, you would really need some crowd psychology understanding. You would need like macroeconomic policy understanding. Like I'm sitting here researching all this crap for hours on end, trying to be like, I'm tasked with 1/20th of decision about how a 706,000 account group worth collectively $1 billion is going to operate. How do we make good decisions for that? And there's not any one person that I feel like is in that group of witnesses that like has every single skill on hand. And it's some of the guys are good diplomats, some of them are good community builders, some can go do development work, some have a really great understanding of economics, some really know the Steam blockchain, and none of the people there have all of that.
Yeah, but I kind of like that too. We make a good team as a whole. I don't really feel like we're competing so much, even though we are. But it's not open competition. We're all sort of trying to help out each other's strengths.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always constantly competing with every other witness. So I'm not sure that I'm quite ready to say that, but I certainly feel, but it feels a lot more like cooperation. Like I am trying to add more value than my fellow. Like I don't feel like it's crabs in a bucket where you're all trying to pull one another down. I feel like I'm constantly racing to be like, all right, how do I provide more value than the next guy? There's 200 witnesses, all of whom would love to take my spot. How do I ensure that I am providing more value to this network than the other guys coming at me? And how do I make sure that and how do I do that when there really are a lot of phenomenal people that are in that group? The top 30 witness crowd is like filled with intelligent, smart, charismatic people that understand programming and a lot of these other key skills that you need to do this. I'm not ready to say I'm not competing, but I am willing to say that I'm impressed by just how many people seem to be working on behalf of this platform to help grow value for all the folks involved.
It's a beautiful thing. We're surrounded by geniuses. I'm in complete shock that I'm 7 or 8 at the moment in the rankings. Like I don't feel like I deserve it. Like it's insane.
You're like that. Um, so my this thing is now this is buried an hour and a half in. I got asked in a witness interview that I gave to somebody who is the one witness that I would point to, and I felt very political about it. Of like, I'm not going to go name a name or somebody, but certainly after thinking about it for a while, the two people that I have in mind of like who best represents what we're going after, I think of Clayop and I think of you. Because I think that you guys bring a community development skill set and a programming background. And I think the combination of those two skills together is what is how this place is going to grow. I follow the guideline of a Metcalfe law, where if you double the number of users, you quadruple the price. So for me, everything is about how do we grow the ecosystem, and people that know community and know how to build projects and know how to build tools. I mean, that's it. So as I personally think of who are the folks that do that, Tim Cliff, Osbit Bank, Clayop, you guys have like that skill set of not just devs that are tied to a computer and can't function outside of that, but can also help build community and build tools and make smart decisions. So I don't know. I've looked up to you for like years. It's like about a year and a half. I've looked up like my big brother Oss or something like that. So,
oh, thanks, bro.
So I don't know. To me, I know that you are too humble, and I know that it is the least surprising thing to me that you would say I'm shocked that I'm number 7, and my response is something like I'm surprised this dude isn't even higher. Because you're that talented and you're that good for this place.
Oh, thanks, man. Like I was just doing the math on the approval rating just then, and it's a ridiculous amount of money. Like I'm just looking at it now. So 61,930 megavests, and it's about. Sorry, where is it? Six? So that number times 489. Is roughly $30 million Steam power of approval.
So 30 million.
How did this happen? How did we get here? This whole thing's just surreal still.
I mean, that's $150 million stands behind you. Maybe it's only 120, but either way, it's pretty good.
That's insane.
People believe in you. They actually believe in you more than you believe in you. Because you're good for this place, and you help this place, and you help other people. And as Team Steam showed, you're selfless. You give back to this thing all the freaking time.
Honestly, I slide around the spectrum a bit with stuff. A lot of the time lately, I've just wanted to just be heads down, staring at code and not dealing with people. And I get so many DMs every day of just people just want, like, I just feel drained without even publicly talking. I'm just drained with socializing, and trying to give advice and rejecting shit posters that just want upvotes over and over and over again.
Yeah. I mean, I have 10,000 Steam powered that's available right now, and I'm already getting it. I can't imagine how much of that crap you get.
Like I want to help people. I want to be able to give votes, but it's just so draining when people message you and you look at it and it's like a sentence or a meme. Kill me.
Yeah, could you upvote the stolen content for me, please?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, my bait, I actually thought said it pretty well. The whole trick is to figure out who's providing value to the platform. And I can't give big votes, but I can certainly re-steam people, and I can help make introductions. I can try to help grow communities and make connections.
I think that's more powerful a lot of the time. Like, even though I have a lot of Steam power now, 90% of my votes are in the 1 to 10% range. Like, I find it more interesting to spend a little bit on a lot of people and give them that little bit of motivation than give someone $100 on their own. Because a lot of the time, you give someone $100, they just cash it out and move it on. But if you keep them keen,
You got
it
to,
motivates people.
yeah, you got to keep them on the comeback, right? You got first.
Honestly, well, once I started getting trending posts with almost everything I posted, I lost a lot of my motivation to post. I'm broken. I don't know why that is.
Well, it's your low self-worth or whatever. I mean, you're an amazing dude. Like sometimes Spitbank floors me where he is either way too humble or way too hard on himself. I'm saying this to the audience. I mean, the conversations that we've had, none of what you're saying is surprising to me. Like, I'm not shocked that you are repeating these same things, but it is always surprising to me of like, this guy is like easily one of the most passionate, caring human beings that I know, and he's so fucking hard on himself. And I just, my want for my brother is that like you feel like you're an okay dude and you're doing the best you can and you're giving it your all, and um, just love yourself for that because you're awesome. And thank you for all the work that you do. I mean, I'm a recipient of some of these votes, and I know that, you know, I could, not that I'm going to throw darts at my computer screen, but if I started tossing darts in the screen and into Discord, there's probably, I couldn't hit, 9 out of, or like 90 out of 92 darts I'd throw would hit somebody that's gotten a vote from you in here. And um, and that takes manual work, that takes effort, that takes like a real attention to detail and a passion to see that through. You just spend a lot of time trying to take care of other people, and you're a really
Having good
awesome
people
human.
around us helps a lot, man. Having a good team makes a huge difference. Like, a lot of my votes are from curators like Chew Girl in the audience here. I'm following a few of other people's votes as well as manually curating a lot, but the good team makes all the difference.
Well, we have, I don't know if it's just Steam itself, because I do think that this place incentivizes good behavior and thoughtful kindness and random acts of kindness and lots of good shit. Um, but I also think that we're blessed within the Peace, Abundance, and Liberty Network to have, I literally do think of this place as my home, and I think of this place as my family, or these people as my family. And I am a social witness, and sometimes I hear what you're saying of you just get overloaded and don't know what to do. I certainly have my periods of that too, but this place is my home, and I'll freaking spend every single day that I have to go fight for it, to help build it, to help grow it, to make good hard decisions at times, to keep it public, to you know try to be as transparent as possible, to help people. But that all takes effort, that all takes energy, and I understand how. I certainly get how that can be quite draining at times. I mean, this is the weekend, and I've spent maybe 12 hours on the radio already. It's a lot, and that's on top of
Yeah.
what I'm doing all day. Like the witness gig. Tim Cliff told me when I started this. He said, this is a 24/7 gig, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like I had no idea just how much time I would throw into this, but it's
I'm
everything.
spending an unhealthy amount of time generally around this community. Um, I don't think I've had my we're meant to take a day a week
Yeah,
break or 2 weeks. Yeah,
yeah,
I haven't been. Um, but I'm not complaining. It's both draining and recharging at the same time. Like, being able to tune in here, say like Cubby's energetic voice on one of her
yes.
shows, for example, is great. And just tuning in, you just put a thought out to the world and have a dozen people pop back at you with just different thoughts. It's amazing. That instant feedback is what Steeman is missing, and these two together just work really well.
Absolutely. Um, all right. I see Team Steam has been patiently waiting, so I want to be able to go talk to him too. But I also want to make sure we put this together sort of last minute, so I don't think that there was a real objective. We literally said the plan is to shoot the shit. Um, are there topics that you wanted to cover? Are there things that you want people to know? Are there projects or happenings or something that you need to get the word out about? Have I missed any agenda other than just hang out?
Off the top of my head, the only thing I'd really try and push and get attention towards right now, open mic just lost a bit of its delegation.
That's terrible.
Full-time Geek had been delegating, I think, 22,000 SP, and I'm not trying to guilt trip him, but he pulled it yet the other day and then gave back 7,000. So we're down overall. I can drop another 2,000. I think I've got available in there, but we can't make up the gap, and it drives me nuts to go backwards. So I think
I know.
if we
I know how that one goes. You know, we had 140,000 steam power at one point on Minnow support, and now we're back down to 95,000, and it's been a struggle. So, I don't know if you guys like live music and want to support the longest running. Um, I think they're the longest running contest at all on the platform. Is that correct?
probably, I think so. That could be, yeah. At least, definitely the highest paid one by now.
Yeah, I think I had the second longest running one with Minnow support, and I think it's the longest running re-steam contest. But yeah, like I learned about that kind of concept from open mic, so so I know that they predate me for sure. So if you guys
Yeah.
love music and you love open mic, please consider, you know, 22,000 isn't honestly all that much. It is a fair amount of money now that Steam's up, but from a Steam power perspective, that's not insurmountable. And in fact, it's really only 15,000. So hopefully we can kind of crowdsource this a little with 100 here and 100 there.
Thank God the price went up, so it sort of counted it as the Steam power dropped. But yeah, it'd be nice to get some more on there.
Um, any predictions or any vision of where you think we're going to go? And like, what do you think will be different in 2018 than what we had in 2017?
Hopefully, Steam media tokens. I would expect us to be easily over $10 US. Like that seemed like such a faraway goal before, but now it seems inevitable pretty soon. If you look around all the people that are delegating Steam power out, pretty much everyone is tapped out. There's huge demand already, and that's before we've got all these tokens. And we've now just had a huge amount of independent journalists and YouTubers come in. I think I saw at the top of trending today, we've got a competitor beater with 5 million YouTube subs joining. So all of this stuff is just snowballing, and I expect big things for this place.
Yeah, I've been predicting. Yeah. So Cope put out there. My prediction is that we hit $50 by the end of the year. I mean, what startles me is that right now we're sitting at $8,448 Bitcoin. And then if I were to go check my favorite feed, this is a little self-serving, but my favorite feed is on Steam Bot Tracker, and it lists us at $4.11. And so when I check the daily moving average, or the 200-day moving average is something right around 8,000, and the average value is 1.59. So I think we're at least 50% undervalued, at least based off of the last 6 months that we've been doing this, or the last 200 days. So when that corrects and we go up 50%, and then Bitcoin goes up to 12,000, the altcoins don't correct evenly. So just from getting back to sort of par for the course, and sort of going back to 12,000 range, which having reached $20,000 highs doesn't seem all that unreasonable. Even then, I think that we'll be at $10 Steam. I don't know. It's February. I would guess by April, January, February, March, April. I think within 60 days we'll see $10 Steam. That's my guess. Nobody buys shit because of my predictions, but um, that's my back of the envelope math. We are discounted by 50%. The altcoins are going to rise up more than that, and I think we'll see $10 Steam when the recovery hits. And I don't know. I think by April we'll hit your target. Does that sound reasonable, or you think I'm nuts? Us? I think I lost us Bitbank. All right. Well, uh, Rondon, I like the. Did he really? He couldn't have written that. I was just seeing the agent thing. Holy shit! That's a real post. Dogecoin ready to go deliver breakthrough highs. All right. Well, you heard it from the man now. All right, his network died. All right, well, you were listening to MSP Waves Radio. I don't know if us Bitbank is going to want to come on, but maybe he'll come back. But that's one of my co-founders. That's my brother from another mother. That's my bud. You know, to me he's like my big brother. I really love this guy. All right, so that was us Bitbank. I have another co-founder with me here. And I promised Susie I was going to go talk to her too. So let me ask Team Steam because it's a little bit earlier for him. So Team Steam, I have Susie here, and she's in Australia time too. So this is like 3 a.m. for her or something. Well, I think it's 3 a.m. So Team Steam says that's okay. So Susie, can you? I have you muted. You are no longer muted. Susie, can you unmute yourself and maybe we can talk some too?
Hey.
Hey, so Susie, what time is it for you? This is in the middle of the night, right?
No, I'm in Moscow, so it's actually nearly 6 a.m. here, but I just woke up, so I'm totally fine to like have a cup of tea. If you want to talk to someone else, there's no problem.
I didn't realize you were already in Moscow. I thought that was something that was happening. I guess I saw the post that you were filming something in Moscow. For some reason, I thought that you had already filmed it a while ago rather than you were currently there. But
yeah, that episode was from May 9th last year, which is the biggest like celebration day in the Moscow calendar, which is celebrating the end of World War II. It's a really big deal here because of how many people they lost.
yeah, I mean the Russian people have so many casualties from so many different wars, like in the millions, if not tens or 100 million. Um,
Yeah, in
throughout.
World War II, they lost 30 million people, which like every single family lost someone, and most families lost multiple people.
I mean,
So
that's
even now, like
astounding.
75 years later, they are still march once a year, and it's really is the biggest day of the year. Like in the footage that you see in that clip is 800,000 Russian people marching to remember the war.
Wow, that's staggering. Like, all right. Um, so before I should have. We're diving into the meat of the conversation, but can you tell us a little bit about who you are? You know, I invited you to come onto the show. You're doing good things for the network and you're doing good things in the world. So why don't you tell us about sort of the political activities that you're working on and then tell us how those tie into Steam.
Sure, no problem. So my name's Susie Dawson. I'm from Auckland, New Zealand. I am an activist primarily and a journalist. In New Zealand, I was involved in a series of political movements. Again, first of all, I was involved in the Occupy movement in Auckland, and then I was involved in the GCSB movement, which is the New Zealand equivalent of the NSA. And that movement was to try to prevent the passage of mass surveillance legislation in New Zealand. We failed at preventing the passage of the legislation by one vote, but we were successful in mobilizing the entire country, literally, against the excesses, if not outright illegalities, of the spies and their activities with the US. So that was a pretty huge deal. I was also involved in the TPPA No Way movement, trying to stop the Trans Pacific Partnership Agreement, and a whole bunch of other movements as well.
Do you feel like those things are going to pass? Like, has the political climate changed enough that sort of normal people are safer now than they were, or do you feel like we are just as at risk as we have ever been?
In terms of the spying and the intelligence agencies?
Spying, intelligence agency, are like, you know, it's tough to read the news and feel like, are we making progress of getting rid of criminals that seem to be running this planet, or are we making progress? Do you feel like the people are getting anywhere, or are we just so outgunned financially that we're still losing the good fight?
I think that we're winning in terms of awareness. Like almost everybody, at least in New Zealand, literally everybody now knows who the spy agencies are, that they're working with literally a foreign power and shipping all of our data offshore and taking money and paying money to do so. There is massive sentiment against those types of activities by the spies. We are not making progress in terms of actually prizing power from their hands. So they keep passing like this whole series of, there's been 4 or 5 different pro-spying bills in the last 3 to 4 years in New Zealand. The last one that they passed allowed them to film you inside your own home without a warrant. So they no longer even have to get a warrant to film you in your house.
Why are they doing that? I mean that
because this is the minority report. Like they don't want to have to establish criminality before targeting you. They want to target you and then establish criminality.
So what are they trying to criminalize? Are you the threat? Are you the Homeland Security threat because you were saying things like, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't do this"? Or do you think that the intention is to protect the world and protect citizens, or is this really like a control mechanism of like, hey, the global elite are losing control, and so we're going to go target people that are making that happen?
These spy agencies are corporations. They're literally registered corporations and they operate on a for profit model. And they have a revolving door between the spying corporations and the government overseers. So they're like any corporation. Like McDonald's will run an ad about how healthy the McCafe is, right? Or like how high quality the ingredients in a Big Mac are. And that's pretty much the same thing as when the spy agencies are like, we are here to protect you. We are here to keep you safe. We are here to make sure that everything is just hunky dory. But in reality, the spy agencies are about 2 things. One, control. Literally, they're a control mechanism, a established power around the world that supersedes politics. They operate the true control mechanisms of the planet. Politics is like this reality TV veneer that's slapped on top of it to distract us. But the military runs the world, literally. The entire Western world is run by the military.
But hold on, if the but if I don't do anything wrong personally, I mean, I don't do anything illegal. I don't sell drugs. I don't enslave people. I like. Why should I care? I mean, it doesn't affect me, does it? Like, what? Why should people be totally alarmed by what they're doing? And why is it? What are the possible dangers that come with this? Even if you think that you're just, well, I don't do anything wrong. I'm glad that they do it. I hope that they go catch some bad guys by intruding into every single home in the country. Like, what's the downside of this?
Well, I guess it depends what your priorities are. Like, if you believe in democracy, like these guys completely undermine democracy. If you believe in oversight, they completely undermine oversight. If you believe in privacy, they completely undermine privacy. And in terms of who they are targeting, they are targeting everyday citizens. Like, I was literally a solo mother in the suburbs of Auckland, in a Western country, when I was targeted by the agencies. So it's total bullshit, excuse my language, that they target terrorists.
So what?
They knew that I was unarmed. They knew I had no military experience. They knew that I wasn't planning anything violent. I wasn't doing anything illegal, and I was still targeted. So it can happen literally to anyone.
So how come? Well, I think people have a difficult time with that. Um, I think people really trust that their government is there to help them, save them, protect them, and I think there's a fair number of people that would be pretty shocked to hear that just a mom in a car might be targeted by this. I mean, there's the pro-government lovers, oftentimes referred to as statists, that like I think they just have a hard time believing that story. They would say, "Oh, there's more to it," or maybe they must have had something to go off of. Like, how do you inform people that no, these spy agencies, these groups are not benevolent? What are some of the worst actions that you think they're involved in, or maybe don't give us the
Well,
biggest red pill.
what I do personally is I study their own documents, and I do it online on YouTube live twice a week. And in those documents is the irrefutable evidence of everything that they do. So, for example, there's a document about the West Africa deployment that was just recently in the news, but this document's from like 12 years ago. And in the document, they openly are saying, yes, we're going to deploy the military to guarantee the unimpeded flow of oil to the US and its allies. So they're telling people we're there because we're helping out these countries and doing good philanthropic things, but inside their own documents, they're openly admitting it's about oil. We want the oil in West Africa and in Niger, and we'll use our military to make sure that we get it. So there's what they say to the public, and then there's what they say internally. And one of the other documents, they are saying to each other, they're talking about the 9/11 Commission being established to actually part of the 9/11 Commission mission was to rein in the spy agencies, or not just to rein them in, but to change the way that they operate. And in one of the documents, they say that they do not want. They literally say, "Believe me, we do not want the 9/11 Commission or the Congressional Intelligence Oversight Committee changing our practices. If we're going to change something, we need to decide what we want to change and do it ourselves." So they're completely impervious to legislative oversight. I mean, we know already the CIA spied on the Congressional Intelligence Committee. Like, they're not, it's one thing for them to spy on me, solo mum in the suburbs, but they'll spy on the people who are actually tasked with reining them in a heartbeat. So they're completely impervious to oversight and to any effort to control them. They've gone rogue, is what I'm telling you. And I mean, that should be pretty concerning.
Yeah, I mean, so I know I'm playing devil's advocate to some extent here, or even strongly, but it's only because I agree with what you're doing so well and trust that you are going to be a passionate advocate for why their actions are just freaking criminal, and everybody should be completely alarmed. It's not just that, um, Carrie Wedler posted an article where it seems like Apple has been categorizing even things like brassiere photos. So, like, Apple, if you're taking photos and it looks like it's a bra shot, like, Apple has all of those. So, at like the one really low level where it seems like people actually care is that, like, quite literally your dick pics and nudie pics are being stored by these corporations. But that's the thing that it seems like Americans care about. But honestly, like, the scope of this is just so egregious. Um, I mean, what? So here's a really cynical question for you. Okay, so I'm an American. our military went in to Africa to go take oil and insure oil. Like, why is that bad? I mean, I'm going to benefit from that. The price at the pump is going to be better. You know, America, which is a city on a hill, which is the greatest nation on the earth, now has the resources that we need, and we can go control these resources to have more influence to go better spread democracy. Like, what's the challenge there? How come? Why is that line of thinking nonsense? Like, where? How would you steer like some American that refuses to see that that action is wrong? How would you describe that to them?
Well, if you're cool with like killing people for money, then that's your own position. But the point that I was trying to make there wasn't even that they're killing people, for money. The point I was trying to make there is that they lie to their own people and to their own citizens about what they're doing and why they're doing it. Inside their own documents, there is example after example after example of them spying for economic gain. And they're not just spying for economic gain of like, Main Street America. They're spying for the economic gain of like Monsanto or the Federal Reserve Bank. So the NSA is like the Eye of Sauron, right? It's like the giant. It's literally the Eye of Sauron. But what most people don't realize is who is pointing the Eye of Sauron, like who's deciding what they spy on. And in the documents, we discover that that's NSA customers, because like I said, the NSA is literally a corporation. They have a registered NSA corporation, and all of their documents are business speak, corporate speak.
Yeah, I
And
think
those customers are not just government departments. The Federal Reserve Bank is a customer of the NSA. The Federal Reserve Bank has a customer information needs portal that it types orders, spying orders into, that go to the NSA, and then the NSA has to fill the spying orders. The Department of Agriculture is a NSA customer. So the Department of Agriculture, who works and has contracts with these massive mega corporations, can order signals intelligence from the NSA and on behalf of serving its own customers.
see.
So it's like this insidious web that sucks in like private business around the world. So if you see like where the money is going, like is the NSA enriching like ma and pa Americans? Like no, sorry, like income inequality is the worst it has ever been in human history, pretty much. The divide between the wealthy and whatever, it's ridiculous. They say like 1% own like whatever 80% of the world's resources. That is the end result of this massive spying apparatus. So you can say like, I don't care if they, kill a few million Africans because we're going to get more money, but who's going to get more money? Because it's not you.
Um, so how did you? So I let me share where I'm coming from. So I ran a business that was a biodiesel business, and I thought that things were going to go pretty well, and then the laws about everything didn't work out the way that I thought they would. And to me, like biodiesel was going to be this slam dunk. Al Gore told me that global warming was happening, and we needed to go change energy policy, and I was going to go be an entrepreneur in that space to go help. And laws never got passed that I thought would be, or the laws that were in place got changed. And I was just taken so by surprise by, this bipartisan issue that everybody in the country agreed with, that knew it was good for us. It had Republican support and Democratic support, and none of it worked. And then, so that business failed. I lost a bunch of money, but I also was gripped by this fear of like the world doesn't work the way that I thought it did, and I literally had like a multi-year long depression about trying to come to terms with the world doesn't work the way I think it does. And then once I got over that, I said, okay, well, how does the world actually work? And that started for me in like 2012. And when I came to the conclusions of like, wow, the world is actually run by immoral banksters that do horrible things all the freaking time. This is the power structure. Like, I really had to cope with that too. How did you wake up to this? I mean, how do you go from, hey, I'm a suburban mom in New Zealand to like, to
To
really
study
to, to taking the
anything.
red pill? How did you get here?
For me, it started with the Occupy movement and the mainstream media. So I saw the mainstream media completely blacking out events that, to me, were extremely historically significant. Like, for example, the one I watched on the live streams, the March to One Police Plaza, which is the head of the NYPD building right in the center of New York. And it was this humongous march, and they went and just, with their bodies, completely shut the plaza down and pinned all of these NYPD bigwigs inside their building. They literally couldn't even walk out their front door. And to me, I was like, wow, this is freaking incredible. And so I went running off to like turn on the TV news, and there was nothing, not even one word. And I looked in the newspapers, and there was nothing, not even one word. And I'm like, the headquarters of the NYPD is shut down, and no one is reporting on it. Like, how is this even possible? And then it occurred to me, like, as the existence of the Occupy movement was blacked out for more than 2 weeks. Every newspaper said nothing, every TV channel said nothing, but I was glued to these live streams watching these incredible historic scenes, and the news was pretending it wasn't happening. As the movement spread to like 2,000 cities worldwide, nothing, not a peep. And that was the wake up moment for me. That was the red pill moment, because I realized, like, I always knew that they had bias. I always knew that they could put a spin on what they're reporting. But what I didn't know is that they could coordinate globally to just flat out omit historical events from the historical record. And that made me think, well, shit, if this is what they're doing now, like, they must have been doing this for years. Like, what else did they not tell me about? What else did I not read about or see on the news in my lifetime? Like, it made me realize that I'd been consuming, because you're taught even from school, like, your teacher tells you, bring the newspaper in and find an article and let's discuss it. And all of a sudden I realized the news, the real news, was not on the news. And that was massively problematic.
But
And so I started becoming the news, and I started working with other people to fill the gaps that the media, where they were letting us down. Like, we actually said, like, we believed it's the obligation of citizens to provide services for themselves, where the power structure has failed to meet their obligations to the public interest. And so from there, we were at first at Occupy, we were just taking on the local, like, city council and taking on the media. But then there was revelations that New Zealand, through the Kim.com case, that New Zealand had spied on at least 88 New Zealand citizens, and by 2 degrees of separation, which is how they spy on people. They spy on everyone you know and everyone that they know. That would be many thousands or tens of thousands of New Zealand citizens that have been spied on. And that really enraged me. That and the FBI presence on the ground in New Zealand. We found evidence the FBI had been directly involved in the suppression of the Occupy New Zealand, Occupy Auckland evictions, which were in the same week as the Kim.com raid.
Because FBI, that's the Federal Bureau of Investigations. That's an American organization. You're telling me that my FBI agents from they're a bunch of sleepy bureaucrats that hang out in Virginia. You're telling me that they made it all the way down to New Zealand to go check in with the movement and spy on it and coordinate the deconstruction of the Occupy movement there?
Yeah, they did. So they literally flew a fleet of giant black helicopters down to New Zealand to work with the New Zealand police to do this insane military style raid on Kim.com's house. They did that on January 20th. And then on January, which is a Friday night, after having destroyed Kim's life and his businesses, on the Monday morning, they went and did the eviction of the occupations in Auckland. So it was January 23rd and January 26th. And then on January 27th, this is 2012, the media reported that the FBI had left the country. So inside of 1 week, they shut down Mega Upload, destroyed Kim.com's life, evicted 4 occupations in Auckland, and then flew away again.
So I was part of the Occupy movement as well. I have marched in DC. I've been to at least 6 or 7 different Occupy encampments around the country. Um, and I watched those same live stream videos, and I watched how the exact same tactics were used every single spot along the way, and it seemed like the police were following the exact same orders. Um, Again, that sort of red pill moment for me of I was already sort of in this movement and already sort of coming at this with corporations have too much power, but just watching how government seemed to be coordinating not for the benefit of the people, but to sort of shut this movement down and have it be coordinated across the entire country, rip these people out of the encampments, get this story off of front page news. It was shocking to me just how coordinated that is. And forgive me for having played devil's advocate again. It is the least shocking thing in the world that we are exporting our surveillance agencies and FBI, CIA, and NSA and using that internationally. I'm not surprised by that at all, despite my tone previously.
I'm totally fine with you playing devil's advocate because I get it all the time, especially around me having been targeted. So you're more than welcome to play devil's advocate. I'm totally cool with that.
Well, I just, people.
But you're correct that the same playbook was rolled out everywhere, and that was coordinated through the fusion centers. So the fusion centers are the coordination between state and federal, which isn't supposed to happen, like with separation of powers and whatnot. But also with the private intelligence agencies and all of the subcontractors that they involve in this. And the fusion centers were also coordinating internationally and worldwide. So, like, I often say to people, like, we know the orders literally came down from the White House. We know that from Peace and Justice, Civil Peace and Justice Fund, FOIAs. But from the White House to the fusion centers, to your local police station, to the bank that's on the street corner, to the private investigators that the local council hires to go after people, all of them are sharing information. They're using the anti-terrorism laws to share the information, even though there has been no connection between Occupy and terrorism whatsoever.
That's even more disturbing, right? So you have all these people that are like, hey, the wealth is concentrated and corporations have too much power and government, like part of what I was surprised by was in the Occupy things that I went to in the United States, you had people on the left that were these liberal hippies, and they were screaming and yelling at cops and saying, hey, who do you protect? Who do you serve? And they're really frustrated about the corporate powers. But at those same things, you would see the Tea Party guys, the guys that dress up as colonialists, those that did the Boston Tea Party to basically say, hey, we're not going to abide by a 2% tax on our tea. To hell with you. They were using that, channeling that energy to say government's too big. And both of these groups, this is sort of the extreme right and extreme left, were chanting and singing and holding hands together. And I think it solidified in my brain the way that there's often like a two-headed eagle that people will refer to as of like, you look at one head and you think, okay, that's the corporate power. You look at the other head and you say, okay, that's the government power. And then you realize it's the same damn bird, and that there's no distinction between the corporations and there's no distinction between government. And then as I sort of go a layer down, it comes down to the banks. And like in 2008, when the Federal Reserve prints out $23 trillion, like without congressional oversight, the power is in the central banks, and because they can print money at whim and without any kind of oversight, doesn't need the public.
Right, but their decision making process is based on the signals intelligence that they obtain from the NSA. So the power of the banks is derived from the strength of the intelligence services. So
which they run and they own, right? Like these are not
precisely. They are the customers, and the intelligence agencies are obliged to serve their customers. Literally, as in any business will say, our customers are what makes us great. Well, This is the same with the NSA. The customers are driving, they are deciding where their sound gets pointed. So if you go after the intelligence agencies, you are going after the banks. You are going after the politicians. You're going after the entire power structure, because all of the power structure is dependent upon the intelligence agencies.
I'm catching up on chat. It's pretty funny that part of this conversation went down for a bit. The audience was claiming we got hacked. That's funny.
It's not unusual. Currently, every single one of my domains is down, so I'm really sorry. I can't even plug my, because you won't be able to see it. But if you want to go to archive.org and type in susie3d.com, you should be able to view it through the archives.
So are you threatening people? You're going to go murder everybody? What kind of criminal activity are you putting up on that website that would make our benevolent government decide that you shouldn't be able to get your content out there?
My content has been under attack for as long as I've been producing it, because, I don't just focus on the political circus, the political theater, but I go after the power structure and the mechanisms of state control. Without the intelligence agencies, it would be virtually impossible for the bankers, international bankers, to do what they do. It would be virtually impossible for the military to do what they do. So going after the intelligence agency is going after the tools that the power structure relies on to perpetuate its crimes.
So have you seen any of your posts on Steam get deleted?
No, I have not.
Have you seen them be able to mess with your content on the blockchain?
No, I have not, which is one of the big reasons that I've been advocating the hell out of Steam to anyone.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, so this is again the Peace, Abundance, and Liberty Network, and quite literally the three things that I point to. So when I went through my first depression and I said the world doesn't work the way I want it to or the way I thought it did, and then I went through a second depression as I figured out this is how the world works. And it was this really dark moment for me. And then somehow I sort of felt I became empowered by this. And I said, wait, well, this is terrible, but now I know how the world works. I can actually go do something about it. And so as it stood and I looked around and I said, okay, the challenges that I see are that the bankers are constantly putting us at war. So the response to that is no, we need peace. And the bankers are using this fiat money that they are inflating and they are issuing as debt, and it's keeping us all impoverished. And I said, okay, the solution to that is abundance. And lastly, there's this giant spy net that is encapsulating everything that every single person on this planet is encountering some part of that. I'm sure that within this group of 12,000 people, there have to be, at least a dozen and probably more federal employees that are here just to go spy on all of our conversations. And for that perspective, I feel like that is a giant intrusion into our liberty. So literally the things that you are talking about, especially around civil liberties and our protection of free speech and our ability to publish online and say, hey, look at what the government's doing. This is pretty shady. And having the ability to say that is literally one of the central tenets of the Peace, Abundance, and Liberty Network. And one of the reasons why I love the Steam ecosystem so much. Just try to silence this. What the hell are you going to do? Are you going to take down the entire blockchain, every single server? And even after you do that, are you going to be able to scrub every single instance, every single data point that's out there? I'm sure that there are blockchains. There's data stored on like USB drives, because we're still in the amount of gigabytes for this thing is still in you could store the entire block on a big USB drive. Is the NSA going to actually be able to go get rid of all of this? I just don't think so.
Well, in terms of what you said about agents, infiltrators being here to spy on people or whatever, how it will work is the NSA will just dragnet all of the info. So these Discord servers are unencrypted. NSA will just literally dragnet it keyword searcher and identify potential targets. And then it isn't actually the NSA, it's other groups that will then come in and send the human intelligence to specifically mess with people, and the saboteurs as such will come in. But I don't see how this system is, and how Steamer is really any more vulnerable to that than anything else. And I think it has a lot of invulnerabilities, which is what you're just discussing, like at the architectural level or whatever. I don't know a lot about the Steamer. I don't know much about how it was founded. Like, there's been some suggestion to me that there was some VC involved, like the usual figures at the outset. But I think the blockchain itself is incredibly disruptive technology, and I think that the powers that be are more concerned at the moment about how to themselves profit from the blockchain than to necessarily attack blockchain as a whole. We see this hypocrisy where they are slamming cryptocurrencies every day in the press. All the establishment billionaires are saying cryptocurrencies are bad, bad, bad. But at the same time, they're investing in them as quickly as they possibly can.
I mean, that's good for business, right? Like, they try to create some fear so that people sell, and then they put giant buy walls. And the normal person doesn't think, hey, the billionaires control the media enough to go put out false narratives and shitty stories about, everything in the world is collapsing around blockchains. But that's exactly what these people have the power to do.
Right, of course. So you see Warren Buffett's writing opinion pieces saying cryptocurrencies are bad and you're all going to be criminals if you use them. And then you see that the New York Stock Exchange is listing Bitcoin. So when you see those two things going on, it's pretty clear what's happening is exactly that. They're trying to dissuade the masses, because critical mass is the only thing that kicks these people's ass. Okay, that's why Occupy froze them in their tracks for 2 weeks, because Occupy was critical mass. When you have the billions of people that a very few, the 1% have been trying to control for hundreds of years, when the billions of people rise up, there's not a goddamn thing that these guys can do about it. No intelligence agencies, no infrastructure will help them. They are very vulnerable to critical mass. So with cryptocurrencies, the moment at which every single human being is using cryptocurrencies, it would be outside of the 1% control. So what they do is they try and slow it down. In the NSA documents, they call it perturbations, which is like disruptions. Like, this is all they're concerned about. Then they say that they're not concerned about left wing, they're not concerned about right wing. What they're concerned about is perturbations. Anything that they're scared of change. They exist to shore up the status quo. They exist to keep things on a nice, even keel that they can control and that they can predict. So they hate anything that comes in and disrupts things for them. So they will hate Steemit for that reason, but they hate blockchain for that reason and Bitcoin for that reason. But they are obsessed with owning everything and controlling everything. So that will be their focus. Their focus will be how they can control the pool of cryptocurrencies.
And we see that, right? We see that with them coming in and buying Ripple in mass. We see that with them, putting trading desks in and the futures market. Like, they are saying horrible things about it on one hand, and also trying to buy it, manipulate it, own it, get involved in it on the other hand at the exact same time.
Right. So, I mean, I literally witnessed them in December shorting Bitcoin from 20K to, at the time, it was 12K or 11K. They made a phenomenal amount of money when they were doing that. They literally sucked out 50% of the market share of Bitcoin. And that's because they were running the same playbook that they've run on stocks and shares for decades. So that is one vulnerability with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, is that it does allow these guys to do the same thing that they've done many times before in terms of the trading side of it. Like, these guys know how to trade and they know how to win on trading. But it was always clear to me that when they sucked that 50% of market cap out, that they would bring it back. And that's what's slowly happening now. So if you look at the share market, I mean, 50% of the market cap of Bitcoin came out. And then the share market skyrocketed up just in time for the State of the Union speech. So conveniently. So what they did is they stole the money out of Bitcoin, and then they used it to push the stock market up and go, look, woohoo, the stock market's so wonderful. Everybody invest in the stock market. And they had all these articles telling people, invest your money in the stock market now, invest your money in the stock market now. It's like a sure thing. And then this week, we've seen them ripping that money back out of the stock market and the stock market falling. And now we see them putting it back into Bitcoin. So they're winning on both sides, They managed to steal the money out of Bitcoin as people were so used to the long bets and it going up, 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 that everybody who bet long as it went down between 20 and 12 lost a shit ton of money. But the other thing is that Bitcoin, obviously, it was about at 20K, it was about to supersede the Apple market cap, and it was about to supersede the Dow. And they could not let that happen. That would have been a massive blow to them if Bitcoin became worth more than major US corporations and stock exchanges.
That sounds incredibly threatening to people that, to me, the entire world operates because they have the printing press, and they end up owning everything because they just print more money. And the one of the reasons why I'm so excited about cryptocurrencies is that we take centralized money production out of the hands of the biggest criminals in the world. We restore it to the people, and maybe they can. I mean, we can create more coins than they can create fiat shit currency that could still have value. This is a decentralized race, and the mass fuckery option, I would bet my whole stake on it that the people and this technology are going to win.
Yeah, I'm really not sure what the future holds, because I'm not sure entirely what their own capacity is. Like how does quantum computing and AI come into all of this? These guys are pretty good at coming up with evil plans to control the planet. I really think that taking on the agencies is step one to making any real substantial change personally, because they wreak so much havoc on a daily basis that I don't see any benefit in keeping them around.
So how do you fight them? What do you do? I mean, these guys are powered by the banks. They have all the resources. They have black helicopters, men with guns, bulletproof vests, all the tech that you could ever want. How does a suburban mom have any chance against that?
Well, the interesting thing about them is that they create their own enemies and they create their own resistance. So, I wouldn't have dedicated my life to doing what I'm doing if they'd been fucking with my life and unjustly punishing me. So they really, every evil thing they do just makes me even more committed to trying to shut them down. So I'm not the only one. There's many, many people around the world who are in similar shoes. But in terms of how we do it, we look at what they fear. What do they fear? They fear sunlight. They fear people understanding what they're really up to. And I mean, the day that people realize that Clinton and Trump is a reality TV show, and that no matter who's in power, the intelligence agencies are the true power structure, holding it, this whole big giant scheme together, it's really game over for them, because this whole one vote every 4 year bullshit is just a total joke. You can vote on American Idol every Sunday night. Why do you think you have to wait 4 years to have a say in the future of your country or the future of the world? You don't. And in the NSA documents, which I keep referring back to, because it's literal evidence of what they actually are doing. And, in those documents, they say, we're here for 35 or 40 years. We don't give a shit about who's in power for 4 years or 8 years. Their agreements are secret, even to the government. So the Australian Prime Minister didn't know that Australia was participating in the Five Eyes until 1975, which is nearly 30 years after the Australian intelligence agencies started giving all this data to the Americans. So these guys are operating completely independent of government.
The
So
president,
sunshine is the first thing
the
that they
president
hate.
doesn't have a right to know, right? Like, you don't get to know that. You don't have a need to know. The highest elected
His job
official.
is not to his job is not to control the intelligence agencies from the intelligence agency's perspective. The president's job is to go on TV and to sign arms sales agreements and smile and do a speech every 6 months or whatever. Like the president is just the face, is just the veneer. The entire political debate, like you were just saying before about how at Occupy everybody was standing up collectively against the police and it incorporated the full spectrum of left and right wing opinions. That's why it was so threatening to them. If you go to a protest in America now, what do you see? Protester against protester. You don't even see protester against police anymore. Now the police are just sitting on the sideline, twiddling their thumbs, eating their donuts and laughing as people attack and fight each other. It's when people are united against the power structure that it is a threat to the power structure. So the 99% was terribly threatening to them because the power structure, even with its guns and its helicopters and its money and everything, can't fight against the entire totality of human society. It can't. So they hate sunshine, but the other thing that they hate is oversight. They hate being regulated. So they should be regulated the fuck out of, in my opinion.
Well, wait, hold on. Regulation. One of the things that I'm actually, this is now like a real argument. I mean, every time that I see any kind of regulation, like I used to think, okay, yeah, we're using this to go keep control of rogue businesses and making sure that people play by fair rules and help people, and we have standards. And that is just total shit. I mean, what regulation is now is really about anti-competitiveness. And when you like a really great example is looking at EU regulations about like moving fruit from country to country, like it's like 50 pages of how to package fruit. I mean, and it's designed in such a way that like the mega corporations can hire people to go deal with this and have money to go do this very specific instructions. But like, farmer Joe just on his own little like apple plantation in his backyard can't compete. And that's the entire purpose of that. And it's not billed that way. They don't tell you, hey, use this because, or like, we're going to put these things in to go screw you, the public, so that our corporations are going to win the economic fight. But that ends up what happens. I mean, how do you, with such a corrupt government, with such a corrupt entity, with the banks that own everything, totally bought politicians, and just literally the shittiest governance that could ever be imagined, how do you then see regulation as the answer to this? Like, how do you trust the government to put in laws that's going to rein this in? And the second that you end up not being vigilant, how do you not see it just immediately vanishing?
Well, first of all, there's tons of evidence that they don't respect the regulations anyway. So I totally understand that argument. Like, there is yet another NSA document where they say, we've been doing things that we don't have directives to do. So therefore, we will come around and to your desk and we will write down everything you're doing and we will edit our directives so that our directives say that you're supposed to do what you're already doing. So like, I understand that like regulation is helpful, but these guys hate their attention and resources being consumed and having to deal with oversight committees and being on the news every single day. The NSA does not want to be in the news every single day. They were supposed to be a secret agency. So the more resources that they're having to consume covering their own ass and dealing with the oversight and everything is literally resources that aren't being spent like to rape the planet and kill millions of people. So I think there's definitely like some benefit in forcing their attention to be on will they or won't they be exposed for what they're doing in and of itself. But I agree that regulations just, as a standalone is not going to do a whole lot to stop these guys doing illegal shit every single day. But I think it's like a combination of things. And I think pushing them on the back foot is like really, really important. Putting them on the back foot, making them think twice. I mean, leaks have been hugely important, massively important. Stuff like the OPM leak. I mean, that was just massive, which is where the identities and the entire histories and backgrounds of all of these like these people with clearances was actually stolen from the US government, and the NSA, leaks, the Snowden leaks, the Vault 7 CIA leaks, like these leaks have done more to push us in the right direction than almost anything else that's happened, because it forces them to spend their time and attention and resources on trying to cover their own ass rather than just trying to do evil around the world. So I think we need tons more sunlight, tons more attention on them, like a huge giant freaking spotlight on them as much as possible.
Do you think there's an organized resistance that's actually sort of fighting back? Or do you think that this is a bunch of individuals that love liberty and hate the government actions that are all sort of doing this independently? Is there somebody kind of pulling the strings to go move this whole planet forward to a more enlightened existence?
Well, the intelligence agencies are the enemy of human progress. They're what the FBI does with COINTELPRO and what NSA does and what CIA do, try to stop humans driving human progress, and instead to have the intelligence agencies driving human progress. In terms of the resistance, the real resistance, not the fucking Mick resistance, not the Hillary Clinton night so-called resistance, is disparate and amorphous, like Steemit. It's like saying, is Steemit organized? Well, Steemit's kind of organized, but Steemit's also massively decentralized, and there's little pods of people all over Steemit. And if you look at a social network map of Steemians, you're going to have hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands little groupings, but Steemit still exists as an entity as a whole. So I think that the true resistance to power is of the same kind of form. It's loosely organized at millions of different connection points, but there's no fixed organization or agenda.
Okay. So what's your vision for the world? What should we be building? Where do we head? What is the key sentiment seems to be the spy agencies are bad. They uphold, they're the centerpiece of all these negative events that are happening on the planet and facilitate corporate malfeasance, aka government malfeasance. What is the alternative vision? What do we want instead?
I can't speak for other people, and that was something that I can speak for myself personally. I personally think that we need to go, I call it back to the future. There are a lot of things in the past in human history that it would be really, really nice to have now. For example, I'm very much a believer in fundamental human rights in terms of back in time in human civilization, everybody had the ability to go to the river and get water, and everybody had the ability to build shelter, without someone else coming and regulating that. And everybody had the basic right to life, the basic human right to life. And I do believe in the basic human right to life. And I believe that no matter where you are on the globe, I think this mass institutionalized slaughter that is called war that goes on every day is completely immoral, and I mean, it is technically illegal under international law, not that they care about the laws. War is the greatest polluter on the planet, and it is the greatest cause of human suffering. So I would like to see a future without armed conflict. That would be great. I mean, that's very utopian of me, but I would really personally like to see that. But I would like to see a basic restoration of human liberty, in the sense of being able to make basic and core decisions for yourself and provide things for yourself without the interference of third parties.
That's a great vision. I mean, I think we share a lot. I mean, I think your focus is on thinking that the the intelligence gathering entities are really at the core. I think my only difference would be the banking is at the core. But frankly, I think, again, this is one of these, a two-headed bird, right? They're both the same entity.
I think the banks couldn't do what the banks are doing without the... So the intelligence agencies are the tool. The NSA doesn't decide what the NSA is going to spy on. The NSA's customers decide, and its customers are the banks. So the NSA is what facilitates the banks to do what they do. And that's why I want to, it's kind of like taking a gun off a like bank robber. Like the bank robber is the bank, and the gun is the NSA.
Well, I think the meme of choice here is like, should we get rid of central banking or should we get rid of these corporate spy agencies? And the answer is, why not both? I'm glad that you're out there trying to smash these criminal entities masquerading as government projects, and I'm glad that there are folks out here that are pushing cryptocurrency communities as a way to go undermine fiat currencies. Um, I think somehow if you're doing your work and I'm doing my work and Spitbank does what he's doing, we're all going to find a happy, healthy home where our kids aren't spied on, that I can exchange and do business with people anywhere in the world, that I can have a home, I can travel without getting my testicles groped at an airport, um, like the Back to the Future thing. The Federal Reserve got established in 1913, and when I look at, I spent nearly 15 years in higher education, both from getting a PhD and also going through and being a high school teacher and a professor, and then ultimately a consultant to other PhD scientists. It's about 15 years, and I've spent a lot of time looking at education and seeing just how weak the skills are of the current generation. And what I really want for my kids, and what I happen to find for them, is let's go back to about 1910. And if I could get 1910 education and toss a couple iPads in it and maybe a computer, that starts looking like what I want my kids to be able to do. I want them to have the skill sets that the kids had coming out of standard public education systems from 1910, but I want them to be able to also code. And if they can do that, then that's my Renaissance child that I'm hoping to create here. Which is just to say, I agree with you that we got to go back. That like we got to look back to the institutions that were healthier or functioning, and I think that the last real example of that was from 1910 or so. And then how do we apply some of the modern tools that we have and try to explode these alternate technologies to drive us into an even larger golden age once we get rid of these shitty organizations.
That's a pretty cool vision, and I agree with you. For me, like the intelligence agency issue goes, it's like it's the total subversion of every facet of human society. Like technology, like they talk in the documents about how they want to influence, is the word they use. They want to influence the architecture and the deployment of technology as a whole around the world, and have been doing so for donkey's years. NGOs, they completely undermine the work of NGOs. They use NGOs as a cover for their activities. It's the most mundane things that you think of. Like there's one document where they are doing strategic plan. This is from 2004. They're doing their strategic planning for 2020, and so they have an NGO as cover run a essay competition for high school students and university students, and they ask the subject of the competition is what do you see the world being like in 20 years or in 15 years time, and then this NGO gives out prizes to students to submit their visions for the future, and then the NSA sucks up all of those essays and incorporates these kids' ideas of the future into the strategic planning for NSA. So it's like your kid comes home from school and says, hey, there's an essay competition. Look, it's a futuristic one. And I'm going to enter all my thoughts and whatever, never knowing, you'd never dream that that's going to end up in the NSA strategic planning document for 2020. But this is how they operate. And they've completely subverted the UN. Like, there's multiple documents where they openly say we are operating the UN as a arm of US foreign policy. They know what is going to happen at every vote before they even have the vote. They talk about being responsible for the intelligence supplied for Colin Powell and George W. Bush's Iraq war speeches at the UN. So that all tracked back to the NSA, the whole weapons of mass destruction, blah, blah, blah. Millions of people are dead, like, as a direct result of that. And then they totally subverted education and academia. So all these like academic programs at the universities, the NSA calls them like recruiting tools. Like, they're sucking like the blood out of literally the university and turning them to the use of the NSA. They have the professors on payroll. They have the like schools at the university on payroll. And they use them just to shore up the NSA agenda, basically. And the spying for economic gain is just all of the way through the document. And
hold on, I saw some of that. I mean, just in terms of topics that you could research, topics that you couldn't research, and just watching. One really strong example of this is low temperature nuclear reactions. Linear or something, where basically there were guys that were out of Salt Lake City that were able to go basically do fusion reactions, and it turned out to be really simple. They took shit, now I'm embarrassed. I gotta go look at a periodic table. But no, I know what they did. They took nickel and hydrogen and fused it, and they made copper. And in the process of doing that, they made a plasma. That plasma, then they were able to go create lots and lots of temperature from this in a controlled low temperature literal nuclear fusion reactor. We've had that technology in the open research publications. It was immediately attacked, and immediately everybody says, no, that can't happen. No, it doesn't work, and it's all terrible. But that approach has been published in the literature, and then basically immediately attacked and suppressed. But yeah, I mean, I think that I watched and I read and I was like tracking that story and development and thinking, holy shit, without these bastards running everything, we would have clean energy. We would have unlimited energy.
We would have had it in the 70s with the hydroelectric engines and stuff. There's absolutely nothing more dangerous than inventing a technology that they don't have and refusing to sell out or give it to them.
Oh yeah, that's a fast way to die.
It's extremely dangerous. And you look at like the entire planet is using 2 mobile operating systems. Like, what is the likelihood that of natural causes the entire planet would use 2 mobile operating systems? It's illogical. It makes no sense whatsoever. But that's the situation that we have. And the reason it's the situation that we have is because those 2 mobile operating systems are able to be totally pwned by the NSA. The NSA will not allow there to be multiple major commercial mobile operating systems because it would increase the time and money and effort that it takes them to have to compromise them. So Mega Upload, I mean, is a classic example. Mega Upload was YouTube. It was literally YouTube, right? But YouTube executives are not having like military helicopters and 150 or whatever armed men show up at their mansions, raid their mansions, and shut down YouTube. The only difference is that YouTube is under the control and is part of the control structure and integrated with the spy agencies. Mega Upload was not. And Mega Upload was 6% of the world's internet traffic. It was extremely popular, but because it was owned by just one guy that wasn't, backdooring himself for the NSA and wasn't selling out to the corporates, then he had to go. And they were going to do whatever they could to destroy his life.
So
this is just how it is. And the NSA, all the way through the documents, whenever a new technology comes up, like Wi-Fi technology is one of the things that's covered in there, they openly state we need to influence the development of this technology. We need to control the corporations who are involved in manufacturing and distributing this technology. We need to control the strategic direction of the technology. So even Wi-Fi, and all the internet protocols, they are engineered to suit the NSA. They are inherently built for spying, to be compliant with spying.
How long do you think Osbitbank and I have before black helicopters land on my property? Is
Well,
that
that's not. It doesn't tend to be how they tend to go. They like to do things at a distance because they like deniability.
so?
People
What sh-
around you.
what should I be expecting? What do you think they're gonna do? Like at first they ignore you, then they fight you, then you win. So for right now, I feel like Steam is basically being ignored, although I'm nearly
Yeah, I think it's
positive.
about to head into like step two, which is then they ridicule you. I'm already starting to see Steemit is a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
Well, Steemit is just to enrich a few people at the top. Well, what the hell is Facebook then?
So when do they come
Facebook is
after me, and
literally to enrich a few people.
what do you think the strategy will be to go corrupt or attack Osbitbank and I and the other witnesses, or how do you think they'll come after cryptocurrencies? Are we all going to get arrested or something? What do you think that'll look like?
Well, I'll tell you what. There's a lot of people, but so just delivering the first Bitcoin ATMs in Australia. So that says a lot to me. They are not going to outlaw it. They are going to attempt to control and to co-opt it. So that's what you can expect as co-option. They're not going to come after you as individuals, in my opinion, because the structure, the number of witnesses, and the fact that you guys have like established platforms. Like, I was most in danger when very few people knew who I was. So my work was really high impact, but I was operating anonymously. So most people didn't know who I was, but they knew who I was. So they were able to do the most damage to me when I didn't have a high profile and wasn't really being open about what I was doing. Anonymity served them because I couldn't maintain enough anonymity to stop them targeting me and knowing who I was and what I was. So you're actually better off being like, "Hi, my name's Susie, and I investigate intelligence agencies." Like that gives a lot more safety than trying to like keep under the radar and totally failing at it. So I think you are open, you have access to major platforms. If something happened that was strange in your life, you could tell a lot of people about it very easily. These are the things they don't like. And this is why I say, like, if they were to target you, they probably wouldn't come after you directly. They would go into your social circles and like things that are at enough of a distance from you to like be deniable. But I don't think they will do that either because and the size of the platform. The platform's too well established. It's already past the point where they can just prevent it from being successful. Like platform is already snowballing, and it's snowballing hard.
I can provide some more evidence of that. I actually think that these numbers work quite well for this because I saw. Hold on. So this is Discordiant. This is the sheriff of the Minnow Support Project, and he likes to report numbers. So this is the growth of the Minnow Support Project over like the last 4 months, and as I think it's mostly due to SBD. That's a little contentious, but I think as the price of SBD goes up, the like hourly wage that people can get paid here keeps going up, and as that goes up, the interest in this place kind of skyrockets. And I think as the recovery happens in the cryptocurrencies and we go back to like, $10 Steam and $15 SBDs, like literally every single person on the planet is going to start paying attention to this because I'm pretty well established, and I looked at my earnings and I said, look, I make more money doing Steemit and I love it more than my PhD corporate gig having 15 years experience job. So I left that and I did that at $4 Steam. When we go back to $10, $20 Steam, or we just see this thing keep rising, Like literally all the wage, the way that they have frozen wages since the 1970 to keep us all impoverished, it makes it really easy to compete with that and say, quit that bullshit, go work in crypto because you're going to make 8x in your first year of what you've done for the last 30 years in these corporate shitholes that you've put up with.
Yeah, totally. It is. It's freedom in a lot of ways, a huge lot of ways. And they've been producing educated now. Like, there's been this like university to homelessness pipeline, and I think this is a fast end to that.
Homeless and in debt, homeless, enslaved, and miserable. I mean, part of the reason why I wanted to leave higher education was that it's a trap, um, and it's a debt trap, and it leads to human misery. It didn't. It was on that way when I was in college, and it certainly feels like that's the route for nearly every single person that goes to the university system now. Take on massive debt. Your job isn't very much better. You have to spend your life paying off um, astounding amounts of debt.
I'm just watching chat and wondering who it is. They're asking if they have a PhD. Certainly not me.
No, it's me. I mean, I'm a PhD chemist.
I'm a high school dropout. Nice to meet you.
Well, I mean, I'm just responding to. Yeah, well, the amazing thing about Steam is that like, the way that I judge people here, like, I didn't ask you for a resume. I'm not asking you for your credentials. Like, I'm looking at your post, your content, and your contributions. And you don't need certificates here. You
Yeah,
don't
that's a really valid point.
like
That's a
it.
very valid point.
There's not a single conversation where I've had and been like, well, tell me, I've asked people, what do you do for a living or something, but it's not like, um, you can just be and do, and you don't need their shitty systems, and you can just live, and um, we'll know you by your work, we'll know you by what you produce, we'll know you by your portfolio, and what your like education stuff is. It just doesn't matter. I mean, I happen to be proud enough of my achievement that I'll talk about it more than I probably should, um, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you're a high school dropout because I'm not reading your post and thinking, oh, she's a high school dropout. I'm reading your post being like, this is some cool shit. And that has nothing to do with what level of um, government education camp you've gone through.
What level of conditioning? Yeah,
Yeah.
academic conditioning.
Well, I mean, I've had to unlearn a
Um,
lot of this shit, right? I'm like looking into Geet engines, which seem to defy a lot of like standard thermodynamics, but um, but I just don't trust that the science that I've learned is actually how the world works. And whether that's spiritually, whether that's emotionally, whether that is scientifically, like basically, whether that's historic, I feel like basically all of the things that I learned in government education camps were false narratives to go keep me asleep.
yeah, I think intolerance to propaganda is definitely
Yep.
his degree. Ed didn't finish his degree. I didn't finish my university schooling either. Um, we all share like a willingness and a love of learning, but we also didn't fit within the traditional model to be able to stick through it. Um, I mean, the other thing is that most of my in IT, and in IT, they didn't give a flying toss whether you had a degree or not. If you knew how to manage projects or you knew how to code, then they were so desperate for those skill sets that it really didn't matter, what your level of education was.
They'll know you by your portfolio. Can this
Exactly,
person do
and
the
that's so
work?
true. And I'm hiring so many times had to hire developers. Nobody cared literally if they had a MSc or whatever. In fact, they were almost unhireable if they were a new graduate. It doesn't matter how many years of study they'd done. it was of no use compared to even 6 or 12 months of commercial experience. We would always take commercial experience over a graduate, always.
Yeah, I can't blame that. All right, Susie, it is getting to, it's 11 o'clock my time. I have an hour left. I see Team Steam wants to come on air. I still have to play some dice, and I'm wondering if I've taken up the entire show with pre-scheduled guests. So I need to make sure that my minnows have a chance to air grievances, tell me important things, work through challenges, promote themselves or projects. So sorry to abruptly end, but I'm out of time.
No problem. I'll just quickly plug, like, we've had this to bring on independent media who have massive established audiences, like Lee Camp we brought on, and Caitlin Johnston and Elizabeth Lee Voss and Adam Carter, who debunked Guccifer 2.0 and the Russia hack myth and was cited by The Nation and Salon and even made it to the White House. So we've had some extremely cool people come on board. So I will drop a link to you guys to our little mini Discord server that we've got set up just for supporting independent media. I'll drop it into the chat. And thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. And everything that Steemians doing for us, like, I think they see people like me who have a profile like on legacy networks and have established audiences, and they assume that like we're well off or living some celebrity lifestyle. Like, in reality, I face eviction every single month. I face starvation every single month. And so Steemit providing the basic necessities of life for us is actually a really freaking big deal. And us not having to beg our audiences for donations just so that we can stay alive is a really, really, really big deal. It's a little bit sad for me because I hate the appearance of like me taking out Steam dollars looking like I'm not supporting the community. But I'd like you guys to know that literally my kids can eat and I can still have an apartment over my head because of Steemit. And hopefully in the future I'll be able to build that up to earn enough where I can actually save and profit of the eventual rise of Steam dollars. But for at the moment, like, you guys are literally keeping us alive, for real.
Well, there you have it. Leaving on, it's like it hits you in the feels. I mean, you wouldn't be the first mom that I've saved from eviction if that needs to happen. I don't know. I adore you. Let me know how I can help as you bring people on. If you'd like to, I feel like the Minnow Mayor Town Hall is actually a pretty good way to get an introduction into the Steam community.
Totally.
We got a good group of people here. As you bring other names on, and if they want to have some kind of experience in here, then I would welcome them to join me, and hopefully you can share that. Even if you already have an established media presence, in some ways, like, it's amazing and it's helpful, and in other ways, like, you have like a different pathway that you got to take here, and I think I can help these guys get a good footing. I don't know. I'm on board.
Definitely, we're telling. I mean, Minnow support
You cut out.
needed. I was just saying, Minnow support project was amazing support for me. Incredible. I would never have got a foot in on the platform or the followers that I have without the support of people like you, particularly V for Vapid and Ozbit Bank and Anon Knowledge. They've looked after me like so well. It's been just incredible. But I just dropped that Discord link into chat as well for you guys. But yeah, thank you so much. It really is keeping us. Just last week I announced that the people who had donated to me through my website, which was only a small amount of money, but it was still significant to me, that 100% of that had gone to my asylum lawyer for paying towards paying my legal fees. And as soon as I announced that, the next day all of my web domains went down, and now no one can donate to me at all. So which is pretty par for the course, that kind of experience for me to be suppressed in that way. So Steemit is literally the only thing keeping me alive at the moment, and it's pretty remarkable to even have that. So I deeply appreciate it.
Well, Susie, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for coming on the show. You have my support, and I don't know. DM me what you need if we.
Thank you so much, all you guys. Thanks for all the lovely comments in chat.
All right.
Okay, catch you later. Take care.
All right. Have a good Moscow day. We didn't even get to talk about that, but
Next time you can bring me back on. I'll tell you if you ever want to know about Russia.
yeah, let's do it. I'm here every Sunday. I've missed one Sunday since I started because the Pats were playing in the Super Bowl, and that was my guilty pleasure. But otherwise, I'm here. So come on back. Come on back now. You hear?
I'd love to. Thanks.
All right. All right. So that was Susie. I'm gonna go bring. Whoops. Now Team Steam. I'm happy. Sorry to make you wait. You've been here forever, but I imagine that you were quite enjoying that conversation.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That was awesome. Now I can only sound like for those awesome guests.
She's a
But
spitfire, huh?
that was mind blowing, and all of the other guests too was awesome. So, yeah, thanks, Susie. That was awesome. I'll go look at your profile more carefully and give you some support. That's for sure.
Yeah, she needs it. We need her on the platform. Like she said, she's bringing in. I don't know if it's her directly or just that group, or I don't know quite how she's doing it. But like Lee Camp is kind of a big deal. That's a mainstream media personality that's now on Steam. He's from Russia Today. I don't know how many people are familiar with him, but that's pretty awesome. So, I Transista was the one that put it into my brain that what we really want is people that add value to the network, and she seems like a really phenomenal example of that.
Yeah, I know Lee Camp. I knew him a bit, but not that much. But he seems like a cool guy. Now the thing are blowing up. If I'm looking at the trending page now, Furious Speed 5 million subscriber from YouTube, and the second post right now is the Hodge twins. Pretty funny guy from YouTube. They have 1 million subscriber on two different YouTube channel, so that's two channel with 1 million subscribers. Furious Speed has been posting for weeks now. I didn't knew like his posts were making like dollars, but he kept at it. He kept posting, and now this post is written at $1,000 right now on the trending page, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, things are blowing up just as we expected to. I was hearing you talking about trading and teaching people how to trade, because now every Steemian is now a trader, right? So we're making money out of our posts, but it's important to look at the market. And I'm going to share a very cool website that people should check it out. This is a website everyone should check it out and try to have a look at it as often as possible. I got this on a second screen, so I use this to diversify my cryptocurrency gain into the top 10 biggest market cap. So whenever there's a move on those big, huge market cap, the top 10 market cap, I can see it from this graph, and I can, jump on it pretty much. I avoid certain coin on this list like Cardano, but I might as well not avoid them because they're so huge and they're strong and they're showing stabilities. But whenever a coin on this list is on the move up, uh, it's going to continue for a couple hours, so it's easy to pick up. It's easy to do if you have something you want to diversify, and that's a great tool to help everyone. And so I feel like everyone should learn about cryptocurrencies, like I've been saying, and not just Steam, but yeah, sure, Steam is a very good opportunity for everyone. And I'm not pushing people to know about Steam. If you're into it, good for you. You're going to be rewarded sooner or later. as we have been saying for more than a year now, this thing is going to get big. And it's what we're seeing. And you know, people who have 5 million followers on YouTube are also, you know, waking up to this. They're posting, even if they're making only dollars, they keep at it, and now they're getting rewarded. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And right now Bitcoin is on the move up. So right now it's at 8,500. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's good. I took my eyes off of it for a second. Not that long because I got a lot invested in this thing. You know, energetically, emotionally, financially. Um, I'm hoping that we're gonna go see this baby. Um, do you think you follow the markets? Do you think we're recovering? Are we still looking for a lower low? Do you think that we're gonna break out of the resistance lines, if you think of them that way, or do you think that we're gonna sort of like go back to a higher valuation anytime soon, or are we looking to go lower? Where do you fall?
It's I stay on the safe side, but the move, you know, I'm seeing some lateral side move. You know, the price aren't going down right now today, and it's pretty great to see what we're seeing right now. I don't expect it to go lower than what we're seeing right now, so I think it's going to move up from there, because I the it's such a much better currency than national currency. And I'm going to explain this in my next post, you know, about national currencies are going down. If you look at the US dollar, it's not so bad. But if you look at every other national currencies, it's going down 3% every year. So that's freaking awful. If you keep your money for 10 years, you're losing 20% of your money. So of your purchasing power. So that's awful. And cryptocurrencies are protecting us from this, and they are removing the power of organized crime syndicate that people call governments, which are not just organized crime syndicate. That's what they are. And so it's not protecting us only financially, but on, you know, protecting us, getting governments less power, you know, and giving this power back to us. And so I feel like in the long run, cryptocurrencies are a great buy. Whether or not it's going to move down in the next few weeks, I doubt it. I think it's going to go mostly like sideways, and probably go to more recovery in the next weeks.
Yeah, that's how I see it too. I mean, at some point, it was traversing these lines down, and then it sort of ran out of juice to keep going down. And then we saw some recovery. I don't know. I guess the lower low is still always a potential, um, but one of the things that I think happens is that when you get these, even if it's artificially done, where the bankers are sucking wealth out and they're pushing prices down, that might help them in the short term. But what they really don't want to do is get everybody else who hasn't already been in the market really excited about this thing and say, shit, I can't buy at 20,000. That's too risky and I don't know what's going to happen. But 8,000, and we know it just hit 20,000. Yeah, I'll go risk some money on that. I mean, I think what they did might have helped them in the very short term, but I think that they opened up a giant can of worms to go make every single person holding fiat get start thinking really greedy about crypto. And I bet we're going to get a whole bunch of new users in the ecosystem because of what they did. And I think it's only going to serve to help grow this entire uh, revolution and movement.
Yeah, I mean, the fundamentals are just too strong. You know, free market is going to prevail, and looking at the Lightning Network and the segregated witness on Bitcoin, you can just transact for a lot less than using banks. And so whenever you're going in cryptocurrencies, you don't want to go out. And yeah, I just want to say that this episode was really awesome. And I really enjoyed, and I see everyone coming back each week, and I hope this is going to get on YouTube, and we're going to reach more people. Um, it's just such great information, because when you're talking about cryptocurrencies, you really have the power to change the life of people. Because whenever you're telling people, money is created out of nothing and it's used to enslave people, people might get it, but it's not really helping them. But whenever they're buying Bitcoin, they're buying $100 Bitcoin, and the next year they have $1,000. Now they get it. Now you change their life, really, and you don't have to explain much more. And I feel like this is just going to get much realer. Much, people are going to get enthused by this. We're seeing it about Steam. We keep telling people there's no reason for you to continue going on Facebook. But because people are addicted to Facebook, they're caught up in their old habit, they keep doing it. But right now we're seeing like super huge celebrities from YouTube joining Steam, and it's just going to get more uh, real for people, for everyday people. This is about to blow up, and we've been telling this for a year now. We're still early adopters, and there's still a lot of opportunities for just regular folks like us who've never been into content creation or whatever. I just gave a 100% vote to someone who just wrote a nice article, and that's worth like $200, which could be worth $1,000 next year, and so that's pretty awesome. And I feel like it's really changing everything. Cryptocurrencies are changing everything. They came out of the blue, and now, you know, the whole society revolves around money, and most people have no clue what is money. And whether it's scientists, scientists just want to help people. They caught up on in their microbiology stuff, or trying to find a new cure for cancer. But what people are dying for real, they are dying because they don't have money. That's why people are dying. And scientists should wake up and learn about the science of money. What is money? Who creates it, and why is it used to enslave us? And like Susie was saying, it's really the military who's running the show, not the politician. Politician is a political theater. And so it's cool to see people waking up. I see people being very aware, on the chat about what is happening, and it's just about to grow up. And I just want to say, there's a drone over my head. So the Predator drone, it keeps following me 24/7, and that's totally not true. So that people don't think I'm crazy. But now whenever I'm going to be in a crowd, I'm just go run and just scream out, "Oh no, that US Predator drone is going to try to shoot me again," or whatever. But no, I'm not going to do this kind of stuff, but I think it could be funny. I just don't recommend this to anyone.
At some point it stops being funny, right? Like,
Yeah.
the camera that I have here, I have a little lid so that I can go close this lid so that I can have some privacy. But, I'm pretty certain if I leave this mic plugged in all the time, that any sound that I make gets recorded and some NSA agent has it somewhere. I mean, I'm pretty certain that nothing that I say or do is actually private to me anymore. And that might be excessively cynical, but But I saw it, man. I saw websites where all of my feed on Facebook and the posts I was putting out or the posts I was sharing. I saw my feed tracked through FBI, um, like an FBI page. Man, I just I saw with my own eyes how I was being tracked already. So I mean, I guess I'm on the blockchain and they still can track me and do whatever they want, but um, it was a little shocking.
Yeah, the thing is, these people can do something about individual, but right now it's a movement, and it's growing out of hand to them, and I feel like we have been in this competition. Species have been evolving out of competition, merciless competition, but at some point I really hope that we're going to resolve, we are going to go beyond competition and just become a family, and it might seem utopian, but I mean, we need to work towards something like this. We need to work, to stop this armament race and this, spy network race and all of this, just exploitation of human. It, we need to outgrow this. We need to become, a species that has gone beyond merciless competition and become a compassionate species.
I got a question for you. Like, what do you think it's gonna take to wake up somebody that's not awake yet? I mean, like, if you're still sitting there voting and thinking that the world's gonna change if just your candidate wins, like, if you're still in that mentality, like, how do we reach them? How do we help them? How do we let them know that, like, hey, your government is not terribly benevolent and they're doing bad shady things, and no, you shouldn't be worshiping them. You have to be resisting them. Like, how do you sell that to somebody if they're drinking the Kool-Aid?
I feel like a lot of people in the military are in the know about this. They have contracts with the military, so they cannot speak against the military, and they know all of this works, and they might feel pressure to not speak up against what's happening. But to answer your question, I feel like cryptocurrencies are going to grow up to be the main currency, and right now at the pace that it's going, I think it would be in like 2 or 3 years, cryptocurrencies market cap are going to go to be bigger than the the monetary supply of US and China, the two biggest monetary supply. So at this point, um, not only cryptocurrencies will be bigger, there will be more cryptocurrencies than national currencies, but cryptocurrencies like EOS and Steam will put a lot of pressure on centralized companies like Facebook and Apple and other, YouTube. And so this is going to radically change the way we live in, because we live in an economic world. And so I really feel like this is going to wake up people, because now if the price of Bitcoin goes up 10 times again in 2 years, people are going to look up to us, and they're going to look up at people who has been talking about money creation for years now, and they're going to realize that I feel like most people are aware they're being enslaved. Most people live on $2 US a day, and most people are ready to stand up, but they don't have the tool, they don't have the education, and it's all because of money. Because money, the national currencies are being used to siphon away our labor, and everyone is on the trending mill trying to just keep up. and just trying to feed their families. They cannot even, educate themselves about how money is created because they are in a constant situation where they have to work, they have to do horrible stuff, sometimes just to survive, just to get by. And I feel like cryptocurrencies, the rise of cryptocurrencies are going to change this. This is we're not going to teach one by one every billions of humans on earth that, we're being enslaved and some people are working to have dominion on this planet. And so, I feel like cryptocurrencies is our chance, is the it's the opportunity of a lifetime. And financially, those who can invest and can learn about it, that's what I've been doing since I've learned about cryptocurrencies. And I feel like I've been rewarded for it. And I've been rewarded not only learning about cryptocurrencies but also learning about fiat currencies. What are fiat currencies? Why, why cryptocurrencies are a better form of money than fiat currencies? The transaction fees right now are much lower on cryptocurrencies, so they're going to take over because that's why we're using money to transact. So if it's costing less, then it's going to be the future. It's just a simple law of free market.
Um, you meet no resistance from me. Uh, I think everybody's going to want to own some cryptocurrencies. I think these things are only going to get more prevalent, um, and in some I wrote a post saying, I'm really grateful to the Federal Reserve for making such a shitty currency, because it basically guarantees that everybody is going to pour money into this one. Because why in God's name would you keep U.S. dollars or fiat dollars that depress every single year, when you could have something that's much more deflationary and much more likely to go up in value? So
Yeah, exactly. And the US dollar is one of the strongest. So if you look at any national currencies, they love cryptocurrencies because their currencies are going down fast, and they know that it's being manipulated. They are very well aware of it. So yeah, it's I mean, I know some people are going through horrible stuff right now, and I hope that we can reach them and we can help them because we're having it great, for a lot of us here in developed countries. And hopefully we can help everyone. I know that some people are going through some hard stuff right now, and whether or not you have money, you can have a disease. And any one of us, can die at any moment from whatever, just receiving a meteorite on your head. Absurd that might sound. uh we can pass away at any moment. So we it's just about enjoying life and trying to be grateful to people who give to us and try to give back, because I feel like that's what life is all about. What's most important about life.
yep. At my dinner table, growing up, we would sit down and we called it our gratefuls, and you would just talk about what you're grateful for and say, today I'm thankful it wasn't just like a Thanksgiving tradition, but it was one of the things we would do is just share what are we happy for, what are we thankful for. Um, and so I'm with you. I agree.
Yeah. I I just wanna. Steam has just been so giving to all of us, and hopefully everyone can feel this and if there is anything we can do for you guys, just let us know. I would rather, if anyone wants to contact me, I prefer if you message me on the blockchain than trying to DM me. I'm trying to block pretty much everyone who's DMing me right now because it just takes too much. Everyone wants my vote. I want my vote, but I cannot. I have not an infinite amount of vote, and so yeah, just if you want to contact me, I feel like the best thing is go on my post, my latest post, read the post, and comment about the post. Make it clear that you read the post, you got something out of it, and then just message me what you want to message me. This way, you established a contact with me. You made it clear that I brought something to you. I gave up something to you because you read my post. You made me feel like what I'm writing has some importance, and then you can ask me something. I feel like this is a much better way to get something from.
Yep. How to go interact with whales. I wrote a post called um, I think it was ball fondling, whale ball fondling, of some guidelines for interacting with whales. Um, and I still think that it's good advice. Certainly while trying to get attention, I made my post titles as sensational as possible. Um, but I think that's part of what you got to do here. You got to like put some pizzazz out there to try to get attention because getting attention on this platform is hard to do. All right. Um, my brain is getting fried. I had a very late night last night. It's now just about midnight tonight, and I have kids, so I have to get up early. Um, I don't see anybody else in the MSP Waves waiting room. So, Team Steam, I want to give you an opportunity to sort of make a closing thought or what you'd like us all to leave with. Then I'm going to stop the recording. I'll put on Freebird. We'll go play some dice. And then after dice, I'm kicking everybody out. Going to bed. So any closing thoughts, Team Steam? What do you
Yeah,
want to
thanks for having me, Genki J. And I had no idea what I was going to talk about. I thought I was just coming in for like a couple minutes. Um, I just enjoy it. I just enjoy your show, and I just enjoy being with you guys, interacting with you guys, and that's pretty much it. I hope you guys are having a great time, and um, that's pretty much it. I love you guys. Thanks for everything you're doing for Steam, and just try to be more compassionate to one another.
All right. Well, that's a great ending message. Thank you. All right. So this is MSP Waves. You've been listening to the Minnow Mayor Town Hall. It is now 11:30 on Sunday night, Eastern Standard Time. We're gonna go wrap up here. Bitcoin is sitting at $8,486. So it looks like it might still be on the rise here and trying to make a little headway out of the sort of correction that we've been in. And what I'd like to do next is, like I said, let's go play some dice. I'll go put on a song. I'll stop the recording, and then we're going to bed. So like that, stop the recording.